Oh, good gracious. Good gracious. Pardon my language. Oh, what a way to start the day. You ever burp up really hot salsa? There's a way to start your afternoon. Oh my God. The burning in my neck. I'm going to cough for probably the better part of an hour. Here it comes. I'm going to cough for the better part of an hour. Oh, it's terrible. Oh. For anybody looking to lighten their wallets, it has been posted in the chat that the SCX6 is on sale at Horizon Hobby. So, should you be so inclined to spend a bunch of money on a giant RC car, there you go. I willn't. I refuse outright. My wife is at work right now, which is work from home on Mondays and Fridays. So she is in like meetings all day. She has the kind of job where you go to a lot of meetings. We're gonna drop some frames today, guys. We are gonna drop some frames. Yeah, the Rosa Maria's salsa with the chips that I just ate. Oh my gracious! It was fine-ish eating it, not fine burping it. Oh, a little bit came up. I kind of burp up like a baby. It really does not pay off in most situations. $8.49. There's also an FMS deal. Buy an FCX10, and for $1, get an FCX18. Boy, how many of those do you think they have in the back of the building? Is this a Falcon Edition Phoenix issue we've got going on where they're like, you can have it for $1? And Jora has 2.9. Oh, RC guy says AGFRC are eco power. AGFRC by a lot. By a lot. The eco power servos are wildly underpowered compared to similarly priced counterparts. Just ask Scarlett about her failing at Deadline, which was brought entirely about by that eco power 120. 20? Shaker MT coming in, sneaking in with the 20 gift memberships. We're going to see who's going to get hit. Mr. Spain is never going to get a free one, is he? Like it's just never going to happen. People getting hit. Look at that. It's still going. Damn. 20 is legit. Things like gifts of 20 gift memberships are the kind of things that I'm trying to go to 2. I want to go to 2, but I want to go like this. 20 are where things like this comes from. That's where that money goes. Channel money goes into the channel. That's how it is. So in December, we'll have to maybe. Oh, it's too early. It's too early to start the rant. It's too early. But I got one loaded, man. I got one loaded. It's relevant. I think some people might have a notion of what that's going to be based on the release that was it yesterday? The announcement? Did we get an announcement yesterday? Yeah. I'm trying to beat Shaker on memberships, but my phone won't let me. Yeah, I don't think I'm certain. I've never watched a live stream on a phone, so I don't even know what it looks like. RC Guy's going through and watching all of the videos. He loves it. It came from the workbench. RC Guy, you got your work cut out for you. We'll be getting close to 1,200 videos here pretty soon. Yeah, HVTO3 gets skipped. Oh, Sfax is postulating maybe it's chat frequency, how much you chat. I don't know, though. Because there are people, I saw people that were getting gifted that I don't think I've ever seen them pipe up in the chat before. So I don't know how that works. I may just PayPal and Assumption HVAT03 money for a sub. Sfax is right on. He knows exactly what I'm going to talk about here for a minute. You should get a UTB 18 for the RTR series. Oh, even worse with a cracked screen. I haven't had a cracked screen on a cell phone since my iPhone 5S. And once I went to fancy deals, although this camera has a cracked screen, but it's also an iPhone 8. So, oh man, I don't know if it's the carriers or the producers, but somebody's hurting because I'm getting texted routinely by Verizon that are like, we don't care what phone you have. If you trade it in, we'll give you an iPhone 16. Have you gotten them?
They're all over the
yeah. They're like, no change to your plan. You don't need to add a line. We just want you to have a phone. And I'm like, I've had this phone like 3 years already. You're not getting it out of my hands. It's still an iOS 16. I have no plans in getting rid of it. I mean, I will definitely take the UTB 18 into consideration. The gift memberships are going too randomly. If that's how it works, and Assumption and Mr. Spain are ghosts, yes, that's true. Mine cracked 2 days before I got the cover. I don't even run like I run a MagSafe cover because I use MagSafe more than anything. I only charge with MagSafe. I have a little MagSafe thing in the car, and right here behind camera one, we'll make the clonk, is a MagSafe thing that I hold the phone on when I'm doing this. So, like, I don't run screen protectors anymore. I don't run any of that stuff anymore. Thank the camera operator for the wave on Wednesday. It's surprising to get a wave out of the camera operator because camera operator is really surly before about, I would honestly say like 1 p.m. Oh, no. It might not have smelled like it, but no, these are definitely fraught with mineral oil. I guess they were just sealed. They were just sealed more better. If I go to 2, can I reach over camera 2? No, not really. I don't know. Oh, here we go. I need something to pour the shock oil in. Gross. But, update for those who, oh yes, camera was having some focus issues. Yes, that camera, which is a Canon M200, that camera is just outright temperamental. It genuinely is. That camera has moods. Luckily, none of the M50s have developed moods. Delicious mineral oil. Someone commented this past week about how with these shocks coming with mineral oil, they wonder if I have a special relationship with the bathroom because apparently mineral oil, I didn't know this, because apparently mineral oil just goes right into your, like you just absorb it immediately through your skin. Yeah, I could probably drink the contents of these shocks and not have any ill effects. But relevant to people buying Chavtex, these are the AMK bagged version. Look at that. Pistons. They come with pistons. Not just pistons. Piston that fit the bores. Pistons that are actually functional. Oh, okay. Andre Rosu, he says he's going to be gone for like half an hour. So we'll rant. We'll rant after he gets back. We don't want to leave him out. Have you seen the 380 size Fusion Pro for the UTB 12? It's actually a 370 size, from what I understand. The Fusion 16. I have questions about the Fusion 16, which I'm hoping to answer more soonerly than laterly. Like why is the Fusion 16 3000 kV? We hope to at least get near the bottom of that. Who thinks I should do more HC6 build? I have parts that need to be painted before they can go out of the chassis. That's the only reason there's not HC6 on this bench right now. It was not a week for painting. It was either windy or cold. It was either too hot or too cold. We got it all in the same week. Don't you have a bigger bucket to pour shock? Oh, okay. You've got a direct line to the Zoku guy. Can you ask him when the colored VRD chassis will be back in stock? Yes, I can.
Never.
They are definitely getting better with the Pistons. And I can report I have already built one set of these with these Pistons installed. There is a caveat to these Pistons. If you want to use the shock as it comes with the installed piston, which are four slot, and the slots are fairly big, if you want to use these, you're going to have to order yourself a bottle of 80 weight. They work really well on 80 weight as outfitted with these Pistons. But I'm a 40 weight guy. 80 weight's fine. But you can't buy 80 weight for whatever reason. You can't buy 80 weight in the bigger bottles. I prefer the shock oil in these, the 4-ounce bottles. And I have yet to see anything over 50 in the 4-ounce bottles. And I don't know why. If somebody can get me a line on big bottles of 80 weight, I'll just be all over 80 weight. UTB, okay. Yeah. I will definitely consider a UTB 18 if we see one again for $149. Because I should have bought one then. Maybe high KV because lots use 2S. There it is. Yeah. Most likely tiny little 2S batteries. You need to paint the Couvert body. The kid is painting it. The camera toter is painting it. They offered to paint a body. Any thoughts on the fake DravTech offset shocks, the colorful ones? Those are great. Those were the first to actually come with functional pistons. And they come with regular caps and offset caps. I run a set of those on Wolverine, and they've been absolutely fantastic. The only drawback to them, if I was going to say that there's a drawback, is that they only come in oil slick. So if you don't want oil slick, too bad. That's the only way they come. Someone remember? Do any of y'all remember? If you go back far enough, I was drilling holes in these to get. Wow, I'm really far away. I was drilling holes in these in order to get those out, and somebody was like, "What did they say? Barbecue skewer?" I just take a dowel and feed it into a pencil sharpener. You just go like this. You don't put a lot of pressure on it. You put just enough pressure on it, and then you can thread those little boys right out. 5/16 dowel, which are the same size dowel that I use for, I don't have any way to indicate. There are rigs right up above our heads, and they are at an angle like this. And the only thing that keeps them sliding out from their bays is I drill a hole and I put a pin in it. I want to say that the garage, I want to say the tire rack up here, I think these are these are 3/8. I think in the first iteration of it, I used 5/16. And if you start putting mounted things that have rims in them and foams in them and stuff, they were really bowing out. So when this got rebuilt and then rebuilt again, it got rebuilt with 3/8 dowels. I go through a lot of 5/16 dowels, and I am desperately trying. Oh, the shock wall right over here on the other side, like straight over there. The shock wall is all 5/16 dowels. So I went through like a dozen of them. 35 last night in Arizona. No, not here. That bucket's the same size as your dry slide. I went through that whole dry slide, man. Okay, a couple people are getting these. So I went through. So here's what dry slide looks like when you put it in a clear container. There's your molly. So we got a ball bearing in there, and you can shake it up and make. There's your dry slide. But I'm waiting on caps to cap the lure lock caps, which might be here today, 50/50. And I haven't indeed tested. This is the 18 gauge needle, which is the only one I have with caps. The 22 gauge needles do indeed work. So they work just fine. As a matter of fact, they might work a little bit better. This needle, this bottle is of course refilled all the way to the top. This I find out is a 20 gauge needle. So this bottle of Dry Slide Bike Aid will live on forever, as I've had it for 9 years and I just refilled it. So should be good for another 9 years. I couldn't stop myself from buying a quart of Dry Slide. I'm going to get too far ahead. Cold front, evening folks. Bought Chavs recently, but haven't even disassembled them. Let's hope for the best. Here's what I look for. When you grab the bag, I turn the bag and I just look at the bottom to see if it's clip or if it's the thready guy. I have been really lucky, I think, in chav terms, in that I have not gotten one that is 50-50. I've gotten one or the other. The shocks that just went on Bluebird were clip, and I hadn't seen ones with clips on them in quite a while. They've all been going to this, which is crazy to me, because as a person who has made things in the past, there's definitely more work and more precision that goes into making these little pieces than machining a groove that a circlip goes in. So I don't know how those things work. Could you do something similar to the TRX4 vids with a base camp? I would be willing to contribute towards it. If not, I understand why we wouldn't do a base camp builder. And why could you do a base camp builder's kit? Base camp builder's kit was semi-done. Zobazu. I bought the builder's kit specifically to Zoku it. I am very intrigued, indeed. Rant not yet beginning. I am very intrigued by the Riri base camp in terms of a similar series like what's going on with the TRX4. I have preconceived notions and something almost arriving at conclusions relative to that vehicle, but it ain't a thing until it's a thing. So possible. It depends on how the month goes. You know, winter is better because a lot of folk that are either busy in the summer or otherwise occupied, like all them Scandinavians, they're up north, they all get sent indoors this time of year. Like they can't even go outside. I'm assuming because of forest trolls. And they they watch a lot more videos. Like you can watch where's my guy? I'll do it with this as a pointer. My views go like, here's the summer, and then it comes up in the winter, and then it goes down for the summer, and it comes up in the winter. People have a lot more free time, I guess, in the winters, and I'm willing to exploit that. Okay, I did that. Dry slide, chavs, yep. If you don't want oil slick, paint them. Good, I mean, painting over anodization, I wish you nothing but good luck. You got to have a different mindset to drive the UTB-18 on stock parts. I think the UTB-18 is absolutely fantastic on all of the stock parts that come in it. I said when I did the quick view on it, either leave it as it is and don't touch it, or just go hog wild. And now that, you know, somebody sent me, this is for that temper build. Here's is this a UTB-18 box? I believe it is. The complete gearboxes on Amazon are under $20. So if the weak point to going up in power is the gearbox, it's $20. I know you guys can't wait to get your hands on that new base camp. I'll get there. Show's on an hour early. Whose clocks went forward? Here in America, November 2nd is when the clocks fall back. 2 a.m. on Sunday. So for us now, it is still 12 o'clock, and then we'll fall back. And then it will get dark at 4:30 in the afternoon. That's what happens here. Thank you, RC Guy, for the 5 bones. I'd like to see some comparison vids between Sandy the TRX4 and other rigs in the fleet. I'm so sick of people saying my TRX4 can do that. Yeah. Does oven cleaner or Drano take off anodizing? Oven cleaner, easy off oven cleaner will take off anodizing. You can also, depending on what the part is, put the part in a toaster oven, heat it up. If your toaster oven goes high enough, about between 450 and 500 degrees, you can just bake the color out of the anodizing. Because, be forewarned, if you use easy off oven cleaner to remove the anodizing, like if we wanted to make silver chavs, which apparently you can't buy, nobody makes silver ones. If you wanted to make these silver and you used easy off to do it, the easy off removes the anodization from the outside. The anodization is, I can't remember what order of magnitude greater it is as to how much stronger it makes the outer surface. Anodization is something like 0.001 inches thick, and it's that 0.001 inches is far stronger than the rest of the aluminum. Aluminum also oxidizes just like any other metal, only instead of rusting, it just turns kind of a chalky white, which is why you'll get aluminum that's really shiny. If you sand it up and polish it, it'll stay that way. And then as soon as it gets anything from the environment on it, it'll start going back to that kind of, bauxite, the mineral is like a light dove gray color. You get back to that kind of dove gray color pretty quick. As soon as bare aluminum touches air, it begins to oxidize. So if we were to do it to a shock body, for instance, the shock oil inside would be gloopy. It would look like melted pencil leads. It would be gloopy, silver, sparkly all the time from the pistons just wearing away at the shock body. So just be aware. UK clocks changed last weekend. They've changed, in my lifetime, they've changed the time of year that time changes like at least 5 times, I feel like. It just gets longer and longer. We're on daylight savings time for like 8 months. We only go on standard time for it's November, December, January, February. I think we spring back in March. So it's 4.5 months. Do you have a setup, any Cash App or PayPal for direct contributions? Yeah, PayPal is the same as the contact email, crawlcanyon@gmail.com. There's a set mesh wheels in the box that might go good with the Couvair. Sorry for the broken screw. I'm not worried about broken screws. We've got
tons of screws.
We've got Negisaurus. It's all so automated. I missed it. Hello, everyone. I was driving in the snow earlier today. Yeah, we're not going to get that. I 3D printed an SCX24 Ultra 4 buggy at one of my college classes, and I'm going to get an Injora Purple Viper Outrunner and Mia's Nylon Isokinetic SX200. You lost me at SCX24, so I only made it 4 words in, and then it just turned into like a buzzing. Do you have the Mia's Isokinetic metal portal axles? Yes. They are going on. It came from the Workbench 50. Happy Halloween. How was it? We gave out candy. My wife was dressed as... Oh, now why can't I remember the name of the character? My wife went to work as... It starts with an H. It's on Attack on Titan. She has an eye patch. It's not Hachi. Heichi? Anyway, she was a character from Attack on Titan. Costume was pretty sweet. Any kid who came up and recognized the character got a full-size candy bar. Yeah, we're balling. We're getting out free-size candy bars. So as such, I think we gave out about 10 full-size candy bars. So now I've got a drawer full of full-size candy bars in the house, which is honestly not good for anyone. We go outside. Wait, just dress properly. There's no dress properly for where you people are. That's I've seen it. I've seen the pictures. I didn't even know there was 2 types of chances. Several pairs I have Eclipse. Yeah, I'm probably 50-50 on the clip versus the threaded. Basically, what it appears to be is the really common sizes. Like if you're getting the 90s, which are really about 95s, and the 85s, because they're big bore clones at the end of the day. Most of those have gone to the thread-in. If you're getting other colors or odd sizes, like when I ordered, right here, when I ordered the set of 115s, these big dogs, they definitely came with clips. And when I ordered a set of little shorty boys, they also came with clips. I got the 105 bright blue for Bluebird, and those were clips. But if you're ordering black ones, gunmetal ones, any color, any typical color, they're gonna be the thread-in thing, almost assuredly. There needs to be adult Halloween candy. I'm pretty sure there is. I don't think people give it away. There's chocolates with liquor inside of them, which has to be awful. But if you need contribution for it, let me know. I'll be joining the Discord later today and the channel membership. Sweet. Yeah. My goal would be for the end of this month, like how end of October we got, I don't know, somebody said Sandy, and Sandy is kind of there, even though I don't know, there was a small Kevin vibe. Sandy seems okay. I'm kind of softly okay with Sandy, and Sandy over there is responsible for me being overly productive during the week and underproductive in getting stuff ready for today. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to answer some comments and build some shocks, and then we'll get Eddie. I'll try to get Eddie's body put back on him because Eddie is running this Wednesday. So my goal at the end of this month, well, I don't know when they're actually going to release. I don't want to go through the Horizon pre-order nonsense, but I don't think there's going to be a shortage of those things because I looked at it and we've got to wait for Andre. Next week, it'll start here at 1 in Phoenix. Oh, that's right. Phoenix they don't change. They just stay. There's not adult chocolate liquor candy we've got. No. We give out to all the parents walking around. Yeah. Swampers RC has done nothing to their UTB 18. You really don't need to. It's capable enough. You can drive it outside, but you can also climb on the sofa with it, which is great. It's one of the very few that I consider to be RTR. You put batteries in it and you take it out and drive it and you have a good time. I thought about getting the older V2 Mias nylon portals, but with brushless power, those axles can't handle it. Oh, you must be talking about tiny stuff. I got lost again. Oh, I gotta get. They're getting way ahead of me. Okay. I love it when people give out shots and such to the parents walking around. Yeah. This is Southern California, so this is how candy give out works. A van pulls up in front of your house. A bunch of kids unload out of it. They come over. They say trick or treat. You give them candy. They go to any surrounding houses. They get back in the van and they drive to the next spot. I remember walking for my neighborhood. We called my neighborhood the maze growing up. You would walk that entire thing. You would go to every single house that had a porch light on. And now they just get rides in cars. The kids today, they've gotten soft. I wish they'd get rid of daylight savings time. I hate it. California, let me see if I'm remembering it right. Florida voted to get rid of it in 2012, and they still have it. And California voted to get rid of it in 2020, and we still have it. So Florida's been waiting longer than us. And remember, I live in the part of California that's further south than Atlanta. So I don't really see what advantage we're getting from changing our clocks. Just give us one time and leave us on that. I had a bare aluminum bike frame, looked awesome until I went camping with it and left it outside overnight. Yeah. In Arizona, there's no daylight savings, so every change around us. That's true. How many more videos of the TRX4 are there? Let me put it this way. Episode 5 is already uploaded. Episode 5. I have the stuff in a pile right on the other side of our boy here, Blackjack. I have the parts for episodes 6, 7, 8, and 9. And I haven't done the review yet on the part that will be featured in episode 10. Can you even imagine? I can't. Okay. It's daylight savings is a conspiracy by Big Drapery. That's fantastic. In the Discord, I think he said it's 5 more episodes or 5 total episodes. For Halloween, we went over to Grandma's house, and our farrier shoed our horse. Wow. What could I use as a substitute for green slime? My LHS didn't have any. Also, I'm building the base camp kit and need servo recommendations and tips. RC guy, Nolene. I gotta Google it. Nolene fork. Am I remembering right that it's Nolene? Nolene SF3. If you have anywhere near you that sells anything motorcycle related, Associated Green Slime is Nolene SF3. And if you buy Nolene SF3, a 2-ounce tub of it, which will be like this, will cost you about $10 and last you the rest of your natural life. I couldn't get any at the time. They were sold out as well. So I have the ProTech Premier Blue. It's the same thing, only it's blue instead of green. And should you not be able to get a hold of any of those, dielectric grease will work. Pardon my reach. You can use dielectric grease, put a little bit on the O-rings. It's just to help them during assembly. If you can't get a hold of dielectric grease, you can just put a little bit of silicone oil on your fingers and rub the O-rings and then install them. And then you're good to go. He's building the base camp and needs servo recommendations. So if you're building the base camp kit, you need a servo for dig and you need a servo for steering. For servo for steering, just get yourself a Flash Hobby or an AGFRC, your choice. You don't want to go below about 45 kg. If your budget is very tight, get... If your budget is very tight, go to Amazon, get the DS Servo. I believe this is the DS20, the DS3245SG, 45 kg. These are absolutely fine. Most of us buying anything more than this are buying absolute overkill. Comes with a horn. And they're like 30 bucks. These are the price that the old 35 kgs used to be. I do not hesitate to recommend because they cost 30 bucks. Is it the best servo in the world? No. Does it cost $30? Yes. It's tough to beat for 30 bucks. And servo recommendations and tips. The primary tip I would say is that their dig mount, their spot to mount the dig servo doesn't work. So, this guy happens to be running like the Premier. So I have remanufactured the servo mount for dig because I wanted it to where when it's in non-dig, when it's in four-wheel drive, I wanted the horn perfectly straight up and down. The way it comes from the factory, the servo is too far forward and it really interferes. Like, look how short the horn is to line it up. The servo realistically needs to be higher and further back. So you're going to have to figure out how you want to work around that. My recommendation for a servo is the Endura 2065 because A, it's very inexpensive, usually about 17 bucks, and B, it uses standard horns. This is a Flash Hobby 1227, which is one of the only servos that I recommend in expensive micros. There are starting to be a couple of good options out there. There's one called I want to say it's the MX8, that is pretty darn good and also standard spline. Any of the stuff that manufacturers are selling as replacements and upgrades for TRX4 and TRX4M stuff will have standard spline, and that will really help you. The 1227, the AGFRC A20 CLS, Reefs 99, all of those are going to use micro horns. And if the horn doesn't fit what you need it for, you're either going to have to buy a horn, and they're not inexpensive, or you're going to have to drill and cut into that horn. That dig is not going to be particularly friendly with you. It is clearly designed for the SX106, SX107, the Spectrum servos. Whatever you do, do not buy one of those. I would just say buy the Endura. If you can find a Flash Hobby 1227, it's going to cost more. The horn is the micro spline, but man, that servo is strong and fast. And sometimes it is nice to treat yourself with a fast dig servo. But just having dig, period, is worth a lot. You don't have to go out dropping 50 bucks on a servo for it. I definitely support $17 for a servo more than $50 for a servo. Yeah, Rudy said silicone grease. Is the Tan Man replacing baseline? No. Can you fit a TRX4 Spur on a Stealth X? No. Because the TRX4 Spur is so small, well, yes, but you would have to run a gigantic pinion gear, like a 25 or 28 tooth pinion gear. Because the TRX4 pinion gear, basically, Spur Gears, basically don't fit on anything else because they're so small. We'll give you, I remember, then in the refreshment of memory, I have things right behind me. Typically, and in the case of the Stealth X, we are looking at a Spur Gear, something like this. We've got your fairly typical, let me go to 3. You have your fairly typical, you got an 87 tooth 48 pitch, which would come in a Stealth X. There's a 45 tooth from TRX4, and there's a 39. Your pinion, you would have to run a pinion as nearly as big as the Spur to get that Spur on there. Also, Traxxas, I go through this in one of the TRX4 episodes, but their slipper pad is this tiny little thing that only they use. I do now and will never recommend eliminators. If you can get rid of the eliminator and run a Spur, and run a slipper in your Spur, please do. It is the last line of defense. They changed their supplier for the base camp. Only difference I see is the motor sticker and body mods. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. I thought the vans were supposed to give out the candy, right? Everything is flipped. Everything is upside down. Now the vans are bringing the kids that take your candy. They only have trunk or treat. Yeah, they do. We have a big church up at the end of the street, and they do a harvest festival because, the paganism of walking around to ask for candy. I didn't know you were in Cali. Me too, but I'm up by the volcanoes. Yeah, if we were on the East Coast, we'd be like 4 states apart. What's going to be harder to make for the temper, skid plate or fabricating the skid? Yeah. Well, it won't be too hard, but it's going to be time consuming because I start with 10 millimeter thick Delrin, and I'm going to have to machine it down a lot to get that thing to fit. Getting the gearbox in there shouldn't be a problem at all. How do you come up with so much material for the episodes of the Traxxas? I guess the short answer would be I've done it before. I'm just doing that which I've done before and kind of just consolidating it for ease of use for people. And, I'll tell you right now. I will tell you right now, spoilers. Spoiler alert to the 97 of you. If you have the money in your hand, and it is $319 for the new base camp and the $329 for the old TRX4 Sport, it's TRX4 Sport by a lot. It's not even close. We'll get to that. Yep, no lean SF3. Best tire in 40 degrees Fahrenheit. J Concepts Green will be fine at 40 degrees. Few tires will start. Proline Predator, excellent. S4 and S5 from Injora will be great. 40 is kind of a real sweet spot for tires. 40 degrees Fahrenheit is going to make a lot of tires look really good. My grandpa went trick-or-treating when he was 9, and he made a robot costume out of boxes and tripped on a curb and couldn't get up and was laying on the ground for hours. Okay, that started great and ended real bad. Because in the 1970s, I was a robot that was made out of a box with a dryer vent, metal dryer vent for the arms and legs, because my arms and legs were, think about this, slender enough to fit inside a 4-inch dryer vent. It was pretty kick-ass, I'm not going to lie. But, I mean, now I try to think, what kind of vents would we need to fit my legs in? I'm assuming there's some massive ducting out there that I could make a robot out of. It is sad that he had to lie on the ground, though. That's a very, Daddy's going to kill Ralphie. What was Ralphie's younger brother's name? Where she bundled him up so much in A Christmas Story that he fell down and he couldn't move. He was just flopping around on the ground. Yeah, I'm picturing that right now. What AGFRC servo didn't catch it? My favorite AGFRC servo is the SA75 CVSW. It looks like... Is the drawer still open? No. It looks like this. 3S Direct, programmable. This is the V2. You can't get the V1s anymore. I genuinely prefer the V1 because you have to go through the additional steps of either programming this one or dealing with how unreasonably fast it is. It's like 0.07, but it is strong, quiet, never give you an issue. When I first started buying these on Amazon, they were about $60, and I want to say nowadays they're about $85, which is why I buy a lot more Flash Hobby. Because the Flash Hobby guys are about $10, $15, $20 cheaper. Now, every once in a while, the AGFRCs will go on sale, and you can get them for 15% off, 20% off, and then just hop on it. If they drop below $70, it's a no-brainer on the SA75. How are you, Crawler Canyon? I'm all right. Just found your channel now. Hey! Even those lives so far, awesome. Hey, thank you, Max Paul. I love my 32 kg AGFRCs. I have 4 or 5 of the red case 32 kgs. They're great. The problem is, when I was buying them, they were about $40, and now last I checked, they're $60. And for the $60 of those 32s, you can get a Flash Hobby 60. And those Flash Hobby 60s will break stuff, because they actually make the 60. Have a guesstimation for how the final TRX4 will compare to a pretty basic VRD carbon. Like a stock VRD, I would say in terms of, like going between gates, that kind of stuff, a VRD is always going to beat it. Is always going to beat it. Because my goal for this TRX4 is to stay at the geometry, wheelbase. It's going to be a sport. Sport body, sport fenders, clipless, same shock mounting positions, all of that stuff. We're going to see how far we can go on the platform. A VRD is what they used to call in the days a cheater rig. It's got flat rails. It doesn't resemble anything that actually exists. Most people are putting a cab only or a tucked body on it. I tell a lot of people, if you own a TRX4 and you've never tried it, take your TRX4 out to your local crawling spot and find that line that you have a tough time with. Take the body off. Just take the body off and hit that line and you will probably make it. Because any body on there that weighs more than the hot dog bun that is a 10 Pro body is going to hold you back. Why do you think Wolverine built around a cage is so capable? Because he has no body. He's hauling zero superfluous weight. And even a sport body, now with the clipless stuff on it, a sport body is not light. Any other thing, man, if you've got a Defender, Blazer, Bronco, any of those, that body, that beautiful, beautiful body is the number one thing that's holding you back. A stance body is light, if that's what you're, or a cliffhanger, or a coyote, or any of those. So a VRD is going to be more capable, but if we took the VRD and we put full bumpers and a sport body and fenders on it, I think the playing field is going to get a lot more level. You can rewind and jump back to life. That's true. Mofo's Servo Beast is another great servo too. I've never seen Mofo's. TRX4 Spur Gear will work on a G-made spider gearbox. That's good to know. My buddy's GOM arrives on Monday. Suggestions for servo and dig. For your main servo, you're going to want at least 50 kg. At least. 50 to 60 kg is where I would go. Whatever you like. AGFRC, 9i mod, whoever you like. Flash Hobby. Nothing particular. For the dig, because the dig is a little grumpy, I would put something cheap. Blue case, red case, 35, 40, 45 kg. Something stronger than you think you would need. I think a bit of the problem we have is both, I think there's binding going on, but also that EcoPower just doesn't produce enough sauce to keep that thing moving. I will probably end up pulling that servo out and replacing it with like a 40 kg, a 35 or a 40 kg in there, because I'm sure I have one in there that's homeless. Okay, I got down to there. Hello from Mythigan, indeed. The Discord name, someone else, I'm hoping someone else put it, because I can never remember. On my way to a micro comp. I think Vanimal might be the biggest surprise for me so far on Deadline. You're surprised? I couldn't believe it was actually happening. I felt like I was witnessing like a magic. It was almost like a magic trick. I thought, oh, we'll be done recording today quick. We've got Ironsides and Vanimal. Neither of them have a chance to make it all the way across. My gold dig box doesn't shift smoothly at all. It clicks, and going into dig, it binds and twists the servo mount. The first thing to check on a dig box are you've got the dogs, you've got the part that slides, you've got the part that's attached to the spur gear, and you've got the part at the back. Make sure that on the part of the back, the screws are not protruding through that slide, that fixed piece, because if they are, it will really mess up the performance. Also, make sure that there's a little set screw that goes into the part that's attached to the spur gear. If that comes loose and that gets to wiggle at all, it's really going to mess up dig performance again. And then also the angle of your linkage. Where is he? Oh, I put him away. This is a terror. I got to find a dig box. Who's got a dig box? Who's got a dig box? Toothless. Okay, so I made these brackets because I was sick and tired of the angles not lining up. You want to try to get that linkage arm as straight as you can so that the servo is pulling as straight as possible to put that guy into gear or put him into dig. If there's any angle on that, it will try to basically put load on the arm. And when that arm puts load, it tries to angle, because you have a gold one, so you have the $30 one. The $30 one is as hit and miss as you can get. I'm kind of falling back towards the $60 QT ones, the ones that are like silver and red, gunmetal and red. That one has been really solid for me. I have a couple. I have a black one and a gold one of the $30 ones, and I've heard more complaints about them. I got pretty lucky with mine, but yeah, shifting in the dig actuation can be particularly chunky. This is a real one, so that's an actual Vanquish Hertz, and the shifting of it from dig to four-wheel drive is really not that much different from the QT ones, but they use bigger hardware and there's much less play in this. So check the play on that. Just like go through it as you would diagnose by breaking it down. If you are interested in one of these so that you can run a micro, let me know in an email or the Discord. I ordered a bunch of them from Send Cut Send, and I'd be happy to give you one. It allows you to run a micro, and it puts it in a spot so that with a 16 millimeter horn, it just. I made these for a reason, because we have to fit them under cabs. We're just gonna fill the whole bench up with RC cars. 110 watching. Okay. I have 3 rigs bound to a Radiolink RC4 and want to move one of them to another RC4 so I can run 2 at the same time. How do I unbind, delete one of them from the first radio? So this rig is gone. It went home, and it was wait. So it was on IDC IDO6. So you go to right here, and when you hit reset and go to yes, it only resets that model. I think people think it resets the whole radio, but it doesn't. You just reset that model, and then that's it. I'm almost sure. Now I'm really doubting myself. Did I just reset the whole radio? This radio is not programmed to anything. No. That was the only radio. That was the only rig program. This is a nearly brand new RC4. So when you do reset, it only resets that model. I'm 95% sure. If I'm wrong, please do let me know, because it is my impression that you're only resetting one model at a time. Now, wait, I have another radio. Okay, I have another radio that isn't programmed to anything. Okay, so there are 3 models on here. Okay, so I'm gonna delete that model. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna reset this model, and if it worked, Rainbird should still be on Model 3. Yeah, and he's still on Model 3. Okay, confirmed. I confirmed my own thing. Yeah, you just you just reset that model. Whew, that was touch and go there for a second. I made the same box robot costume. Yes. I can't put my arms down. Randy, he lay there like a slug. It was his only defense. How could I have forgotten Randy? Can you put dig in any crawler? I wouldn't say 100% of them, but I say that you can put it in most of them. Like a guy did a 3D printed bit to where you can put dig on the back of a TRX4 gearbox, but the implementation of it was a little bit wild. So it's not how I would do it. I would redesign the whole back of the gearbox, but I'm not an engineer. But in most cases, like anything that runs a 3-gear, anything that runs a gearbox like this, where the motor's there and the spur gear is there and the gearbox is back here, yeah, you can just buy a dig gearbox or buy a dig unit. You can put them on VFDs. VFD Twin already has it. Yeah, I'm just trying to go down the list thinking of gearboxes. If the rig has the room to change the gearbox, yeah, you can put dig in it. What's so bad with brass wheels? Isn't it better than weight is down lower, assuming you don't mess with weight bias? Brass wheels tend to be too heavy. There is definitely a point of diminishing returns when it comes to rotating mass. You want to get these, what I call a combo, which is wheel tire insert. You really, in this size, in a Class 2 1.9, you really don't want to go much past about 250 grams, about that kilo of wheelos. If you get up to like 280, 300 grams per corner, you will start to notice. What will happen is, we're going to call Toothless back in. He's climbing like this on a side hill, and you'll get to a point where this tire gets, where this tire gets up above a tip point, and then there's so much weight in that when you throttle, you just go. Rotating mass is not optimal. What rotating mass is inexpensive. So we bought a set of the all brass wheels. They were close to 300 grams, just the wheel, with no insert and tire put on it. It was crazy. So what they are useful for is you can part them out. You can use the middle part on one set of wheels, which is the same as buying a brass hub. So you can weight them up that way. You can move the rings to another. You can move the beadlock rings to another one. You can move all the parts around, and you can evenly weight out 3 or 4 sets of wheels out of that one brass set. But as they come all in one, they're honestly, they're just too heavy. Some of the brass wheel sets, like I know Injora does, some of the Oil Slick 2.2s, they do just the face part. So just this part of the wheel will be brass. And usually that's enough. It'll get the wheel into this like 180 gram range, which is pretty much perfect after it has a tire and an insert on it. Binding the old RX to the new radio will unbind it from your old radio. Oh, I did not know that. It makes sense. Oh, I'm getting so far. Okay, I got to catch up. I'm getting so far behind. Rotating mass robs power and can affect steering. There you go. Fusion Pro and a Savox. I wish you nothing but luck with Savox. Savox is too noisy for me to use in a crawler. They make a fantastic servo, but boy, are they loud. Hey, bouncing noise. I love my TRX4, but I also love my scratch belt Wraith also. Yeah, absolutely. You can't have just one. You can't have just one. I got done folding laundry and switched from watching on a phone to PC. PC is like 10 seconds ahead. Ooh. But that should only affect punch. I realize I'm that far behind. Brass rings are a decent cheap option, just not the best option. Couldn't have said it better myself. Vanimal's a badass. He killed the teeter and did a full pull. That is true. Vanimal is a shark. I think Shram Butter or Slick Honey is very similar to green slime. It could be. It could be. Axial price of Basecamp undercuts TRX Sport by 10. We'll get to that. Yeah, but not still as good. We're halfway there. Thoughts on the updated Basecamp versus the clipless TRX for Sport? We have to wait for Andre. Gifted 5 memberships. He's back. He's back. All right, he's back. All right, good stuff, Andre. Some new members. The delay in chat is brutal. It's because I'm falling so far behind. I don't know if you saw my post, but I'm okay with donating my UTB 18 to the Canyon. It already has an R4 FGM in it. Hey, I mean, if you're giving away rigs, you know where to find me. Still don't know how much about the memberships are given out from that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's 25 today, and there's a lot of names that are super active in the chat. Nothing. It gives them a random, very at random. Anyone else nervous about November 5th? Everyone on the planet should be nervous about November 5th. That's as far as we're going to go into that. I have brass 1.1 mils on my SN18. I have an Outrunner, so it's fine. It's super stable. I can't tell you what the desirable weight is for your full combo on an Ascent 18. You had said you don't keep silicone inserts in your trucks. Why? Silicone inserts are great because they're very inexpensive and they're waterproof. They're foolproof. They have a wide range of fitments because you can shim them. But this weighs 70 grams. And for many people and for many builds, that's too much weight to add to the wheel, especially if you've already built the wheel. These would be great if you're still using plastic beadlocks. If you're still using plastic beadlocks, you can pair it with this. This is also, by the way, full disclosure, just happened to me right now. I just thought of this. If you're still rocking a plastic beadlock, you throw this in there, it's 70 grams of weight. The weight is better if it's concentrated in here, right? Because it's easier to move that than it is to move that, than to move this. But They don't tend to stay because they are as universal gets. So as a rig progresses, the inserts are going to get more and more specific to the build. And in general, these aren't going to be the guys. You can cut them, but you're working around that 70 grams, whereas a Canyon Custom, which is like what's in here, weigh about 30 grams, 30 to 35 grams each. It's about the same as a 3D printed. And then a regular single stage open cell foam weighs about 15 grams. It comes back around to that. Low weight is great, but rotating mass is not the best. It's not optimal. We try to avoid it, but it is very inexpensive. Brass rings, $30 for 4. That's 2 rigs, $15 a rig. It's hard to pass up brass rings. I believe it also gets. Oh, I'm talking about that. Not even to see the posting time from when I hit to send. Oh, yeah. Banks in downtown Portland are boarding up windows on November 5th. Yeah, I would too. Did someone say only 1 rig? I'm at slightly more than that like nearly 50 more. We're probably tight. What's the ideal weight for a carbon kit? I don't believe there's such a thing as an ideal weight. We've got Bluebird and Rainbird over here. Didn't I threaten? Wait, watch this. Oh, I made it. Oh, by the way, I got to go grab something. We are 1 hour in. Look at that. I made it back before it stopped spinning. Okay. So there's Bluebird. I can't spin it again. He'll fly off. I remember this garage. Remember what I said about this garage? And this is Rainbird, and they are the same thing-ish, right? We're 10 Pro based. 10 Pro straight axle, 10 Pro portal. This guy weighs 1.6 pounds more than this guy. They drive very differently, as one would anticipate, but they are every bit equally fun to drive. They're both on carbon chassis. They both have different parts selections. This one is portal and this one is straight axle. I've built VRDs. I've built stuff based off of VRDs. I've built Gary Musey off the Gold Rush chassis. I don't think there's a weight. I know our good buddy Last Creations on his tombstone will be etched lightweight always. But I'm definitely not that guy, because this guy's like 6.5 pounds and this is barely 5 pounds, and they are equally joyous to drive. And I would go so far as to argue equally capable. This guy's better at some stuff. This guy's better at some stuff. They are very different. But I mean, if we remove Susan from the equation here and we switch back to, there's too many rigs. There's no place to put Susan down. If we switch back to camera 2, there's a little bit of a difference there, right? I mean, even if we're unbodied, like, look how much higher up all of his stuff is than his stuff. And they tackle obstacles differently. The optimum weight is the way the vehicle is set up so that it drives the way you want it to drive. It doesn't force you to do things. Like, you say, this is the way I want to attack this line. Sometimes a little more weight in the front, sometimes a little more weight distributed around, sometimes a little weight taken away. I make every effort not to add sprung weight. Don't add sprung weight in great numbers. If you're going to add sprung weight, you're going to have to compensate with that sprung weight by adding unsprung weight, which gets expensive. This guy has more money. Did I put his body on backwards again? No. This guy has more money put into his axles than this guy has put into his axles, because I just bought these axles from Axial. So as to an optimum number, I don't think there is one. I've yet to try one of those silicone inserts, 3D printed all the way. That's easy for him to say. Yes, elections on the 5th. Hi, everyone. Belgium. Oh, Belgium Gom Guy. Is 60C discharge rate okay for the Hobby Wagon Fusion Pro 2300? You can get away with 25C. It doesn't matter. I did a video on it way back, testing 25C batteries up against, I think they were 120C batteries, and they are indistinguishable. In a crawler application, you genuinely can't tell the difference because we're not pulling enough amps. It might come into play if you were running 450s, but if you're running anything above a 1500 battery, really above 1000. I mean, a 60C rate on a 1000 pack would be 60 amps, and we're not doing that. Peak output on a 2300 is theorized at 60 amps. You're going to spend most of your day between 10 and 12 amps. Under throttle, like climbing, you're going to be consuming 10 to 12 amps. Typically, your servo is drawing as much or more than the motor at any given moment. I live right between Portland and Seattle. I am very concerned about the fifth. I get that. I have them in nearly all my tires, large and small. Oh, yes. He sells 3D printed. Yes. My builds follow your recommendations except for my stance and work great. Thanks. My wheel tire set on my Ascent weighs 1.5 kilos. That's not okay. 1.5 kilos? 3 pounds. 3 pounds. That's a lot. Mr. C, I'm so proud of Vanimal in the last contest. Great episode. I haven't laughed that hard in quite some time. My favorite part of the whole thing is he tucked the front wheel and he went, whoop, and was just like, there was no chance. He wasn't like, I'm going to put you in a recoverable position. Straight upside down in a bowl. And he had that, there was a real horseshoe crab vibe going because like I felt like I could see his little legs kicking because that body is so big compared to how little he is on the underside. I had no anticipation of him going that hard. Just noticed I got a membership last week. Thanks to whoever gave it out. Oh, it just jumped again. Oh, wait, there we go. I thought I had a crazy wheel weight set at like 1.3. I try to stay. I think the heaviest that we've got here is what's on RoboKitty because they're huge. Absolutely massive. So full size 575 tusks on the big brass Injora oil slick wheels. And even those aren't 1.5 kilos. 1.5 kilos is, I mean, you're giving something to get something. The question is, what are you giving to get what you're getting? So we'll set this guy over here real quick. I really dislike autocorrect. I love autocorrect. Your light bill was an eye-opener. I had no idea it was so expensive. Yeah, heavy is very cheap. You can go on AliExpress and buy like 2 pounds of brass to put on your TRX4 for under $100. But if you want to take 2 pounds of weight off of a vehicle, hey! This or that. When I get the Zoku rails, would you be up to tuning for me? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Bully 2 tires on 3D printed wheels with the included 2-stage foam weight of 480 grams. Yeah, I did. C rating is an industry hype word. In my experience, the stated C rating tends to be over-exaggerated. Most of them are wildly over-exaggerating. Yes, that is absolutely true. You might have noticed when Rainbird was over here, this is what he was running just a little while ago on the back, which are glue-ons. I put a set of Vanquish on him because they had come off of a vehicle and I had no other place to put them. And I prefer it immensely. That little bit of added weight at the wheels, even though rotating, because he's so light, it helped across the board. Absolutely no drawback to going to a very slightly heavier wheel. Heavier than plastic, but they're Vanquish, so they have plastic rings. And in terms of aluminum beadlocks, they're really light compared to others. I add weight to the front, but that's it. Rainbird actually has rear weight added because he got so light. He hit 1,888 grams. The Hunk is my favorite looking tire for sure. It's definitely up there. They look so good. My buddy wants to get a Rum Runner. In Canada with shipping and duty, it's the same cost as a VRD straight axle kit. I'm trying to discourage him. The Rum Runner is crazily priced. Crazy. Need some 525 hunks. Yeah, absolutely. I'm amazed that they went with a 525 hold before they went with a 525 hunk. I would have thought 525 hunk would have been the go-to. C-rolling, Swampers, I'll add to that drag racing. Drag racing, those dudes are like, give me all the amps for like 5 seconds, if even 5 seconds. So yeah, C rating for us. What is our common pack? These Z2200s are actually claiming 50C, which means this battery could theoretically produce 110 amps. Okay. I use the Ovonic ones that are 25C. You can't tell. You could not. No one could tell the difference. If we didn't tell you what battery was in there, you would never know. Best insert for the Tutu Canyon Trail. This is fortunate for you, as if I'm remembering your location. Tutu Canyon Trail. Best insert. Get yourself some Revolts from Belgium. These are outstanding. These are maybe the best insert for the Tutu. The second best insert is the ones they came with. They have. I still consider the insert that comes in a Tutu Canyon Trail. This thing. I still consider this to be one of, if not the best OE provided insert that comes in a tire. It's a dual stage. It actually works. These are better because they really firm up the side and they give you the perfect amount of action at the shoulder. But yeah, if I remember, Antos is in Sweden, and Sweden's not that far from Belgium, right? It's reasonably close. Europe is a place. I almost went full American, and it was afraid that I was afraid the irony would be lost, and I almost went with Europe is a country, but I want people to know I recognize Europe is not a country. What is the total thickness of the foam in a Canyon Custom Soft? Canadian fridge foam is around 2 millimeters. Oh no. Between 14 and 16 millimeters. Because the foam that we're using is, I have a cut piece right here, is this stuff. Which how reasonably accurately can we caliper this? Okay, caliper with no squeeze. Yeah, I would say this is around let's call it between 7 and 8 millimeters. So between 14, 15, 16 millimeters is total thickness on that. You can also, I don't know about in Canada, if fridge foam you can't find, you might be able to find this. This is pre-filter media for like aquariums. And the pre-filter media is about 18 millimeters thick. So it'll be a little, well, I was going to say it'll be a little firmer as a soft, but it won't be. It's a little more open porous, so it'll squish down a little. It's a little harder to get to stick with the tape because it's so much thicker, but once it's installed in a tire, that's not really a problem. So aquarium filter, pre-filter foam might be an option if you can only get 2 millimeter fridge foam. 2 millimeter fridge foam, I don't think it's going to be thick enough. Who makes beadlock wheels that spin true on the axles? I get some cheap Amazon wheels and they kind of run a little wobbly. What you want to do, first thing, Paul, put it up on a block, give it a very slow amount of power or put it on cruise control and watch the edge of the beadlock and make sure it's not the insert and tire wobbling because it's very rare to have a tire wobble. If the wheel is wobbling, look at the stub axle and make sure you don't have a bent stub and that's not wobbling. It's exceedingly rare to have them wobble. For those who don't remember the absolutely Seussian appearance of what is underneath Vanimal's body, and then as you can see, there's just nothing there. He is an absolute hobgoblin of parts, but he does retain the ATAC gearbox from the Prairie Wolf. These are shocks from a Capra. He likes Capra shocks for some reason. It's got the spur assembly from an Element or Associated. I believe it's all Associated. I think I see white pads. We had mentioned earlier the 32 kg AGFRC. There's one in there. Does him just great. And because we had broken parts before, these are not knuckles for for this vehicle. I don't remember what axle these knuckles are supposed to be for, but they happen to fit and they actually worked. This is also, as you can notice by the receiver, a rear bumper. I believe it is the optional rear bumper that came with the kit, or well, came with the RTR, because you know he was gray, and now I just painted him the root beer on the color change on the outside. But yeah, there's not a lot to Vanimal. There's not a lot there. Can you get that back cage that fit with the Ford cab on that? Where did you get that back cage that fit with the Ford cab on the Phoenix chassis? That is the cage from a Phoenix.
VRD01.
Yeah, it's the VF. Oh, do you mean this cage? Yeah, this is the cage from the back of a Phoenix, and this is the bed that goes to a Biddy Design Rock One. So yeah, they designed that body specifically. RK1 VS4 Rock One, and it actually even mounts exactly the same way the Phoenix mounts. Yeah, that's just off of a Phoenix. Can you order the pieces separately? Oh, that I don't know.
I know you can get the cage from Amy.
You can get the cage loan from Amy? I'm told by the blind benefactor over there that you can indeed get the cage without having to buy the whole VRD body. Is that what it's called? Is it called the VRD?
VRD. Well, the cage is the VRD cage, I believe.
Something with a V in it. Can you get Traxxas foams without wheels? Oh. I don't know. I don't know. Crawler Innovations foams are a great choice. They make a wide selection of foams. They're very expensive, though. I'm not going to say a bad word about the performance of Crawler Innovations foams, but they are very expensive. You can typically buy a set of 3D printed for less than you'll pay for Crawler Innovations. UGRC Labs has a new chassis for the Red Cat Ascent. It's like a cheetah rig chassis. Looks cool. I'm sure the chassis is probably fine. I would have huge question marks circling the quality of the 3D prints from UGRC, as we have dealt with that. And also, at the end of the day, if you use an Ascent as the base, you're still going to have Gen 9 axles under it, which means you're going to hate life at some point. If you don't hate it now, you will hate it in the future. It would probably be better to take that chassis and put real axles under it. Have you used those cheap winches on Amazon? Yes, Mr. Saxton, I have. The best way to make a winch is to take the stock servo out of something, rip its guts out, just leaving the motor, and then take a speed control and turn that into a winch controller. Like basically take the stock electronics out of an Element, an SC480X, and the Riri 1523, make a fantastic winch combo. Could be a little faster, but in general, if you've ever bought an RTR in your life, free. And works pretty good. You can put it on a 3-position switch, and then you're set with a winch. The little scale winches, they are going to be slow. I at the same time, I do kind of want to test. Injora's got a new one that's dual motor, has 2 motors on it. I kind of want to try it. It's never going to be as fast nor as powerful as a servo winch, but I mean, they look good. If you really like that winch look, my recommendation would be get a servo winch, mount it up inside the vehicle somewhere, and then mount one of these up on the bumper and just run the winch cable out under it, and then you're good to go. Actually, this part rotates. You could put a loop of it around it so that it would like be a line guide. But yeah, the actual winch-shaped winches, you're doing them for looks. Like if you actually need to winch, it's going to be a servo winch. African or European swallow? Probably African, because I don't think the European ones, even if they worked in tandem, would be strong enough to lift the coconut or carry it as far as we need them to carry it. I just weighed all of my wheels and tires, all 230 and under. Excellent. Also checks the screw pins and the wheel hexes. Yes, if they stick out, they push the wheel hub out of center. Roland, spot on. I had forgotten about that one. And I remember that one when you take the nut off and then you go to take the wheel off and you go, and you have to yank it off, and it's because the screw is sticking out like 1/4 of a millimeter. Yeah. Laden or unladen? We're hoping unladen. Yes. Chris Pierce, VRD1 cage. That's proper naming. Thanks, Vanquish. My Ascent beat every TRX and every other rig that wasn't ground up built at my last comp. All right. My nephew and I are watching and wheeling at the same time. It's a bit chill out. The sun is shining. We're doing things. That is awesome. That's awesome. Oh, I agree the axles are not the best, but better than the ones on the TRX4. That is an exceptionally wild take. That the Gen 9 is better than a TRX4 axle is the only, I mean, God, if I have to pick an adjective for that, the word would be obscene. It would be absolutely ludicrous, maybe, is a better term. The Gen 9 axle is an example of when engineering goes wrong. A TRX4 portal axle is unchanged in time. It's the alligator of axles. It has a singular weak point in it, which is the portal input gear. And I believe that is not by accident. Because when you bind that thing up and put as much power through it as you can, it's going to snap that portal input gear, and then you're going to replace it in about 5 minutes. So that's why I don't tell people to buy hardened input gears. Gen 9 axles have huge pumpkins, poor ground clearance, and marginal ground clearance. Yes, depending on which part of the axle it is either poor or marginal. I measured them when we had the Ascent here, and the Gen 9 axle has, at the portal box, so if you look at the part of the axle, I don't know, oh wait, I got one. If you look at a Gen 9 axle, right here, compared to right here, they have 5 millimeters more ground clearance than a straight axle. 5 millimeters. A typical portal axle is going to give you 12 to 14 millimeters of additional clearance. And then the size of their ring gears is just inexcusable. Mr. C, you turn off the heart over the chat, unselect the live react options to remove it. Wait, what? Turn off the heart over the chat, unselect the reality. I don't understand that sentence. Organized chaos, repitan, por favor. Ones where not portal I seen were straight. Were they not TRX4 then? Yes. The only TRX4 axle is like the one that was just in my hand, is a portal axle. Traxxas doesn't make a straight crawling axle. The Red Cat engineers need to go to rehab. It's just like it. I can't tell what it is. I can't tell what the origin of it is. At Red Cat, we're dealing with one of two potential things. It's either engineering by committee, or it's engineering of the reverse mechanism, where they're trying to reverse engineer something that they don't know what they're making. Because the Ascent particularly really looked like something that was like somebody saw a picture of a comp crawler, handed it to somebody and said, make this. But they didn't know what was inside of it. So, and they also weren't given a budget, because like a lot of there's a lot of reused parts there. They put a 42 turn 550 on it because it doesn't have enough gear reduction, and they had more than enough room to incorporate gear reduction in it. That's even before we get to the geometry problems. The Ascent will get to a point, and then you're going to find all of the limitations. Every time you remove a part from it, it's going to get better. If you take those Gen 9 axles off and put literally any other axle on it, it's going to be better. I mean $50 AliExpress AR-44 clones. It's still going to be better, because at least they'll be high pinion. Like, your ground clearance is going to improve as much as if you had put portals on a vehicle that wasn't portaled, even though you're putting straight axles on a vehicle that was portaled. I would recommend, like, if you're going to stick with the Ascent, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Leave it as it is, because money put in it is throwing good money after bad, realistically. I know here's the thing. I've been talking to a buddy of mine about this at some length recently, where when I say something about something I don't like, people are like, oh, there's a grumble. How dare that guy not like the things that I like? Guys, I just want you to look, like, just look right here. Just look, use camera 2 and just look across right here. Underneath the sweater are Tomax and Zaymot, okay? There are no chassis commonalities across here except that this is a Zoku Phoenix and this is a Zoku Base Camp. Aside from that, we're talking different shocks, different gearboxes, different geometries, different wheels, different tires, different. I've tried a lot of things. So if we arrive at something and I say this thing is bad and here's why, it's not haterade, guys. It's not. Like Charisma, Axial, Vanquish, a little bit of Axial, Vanquish, Traxxas, and I don't like the Red Cat because of what it does. It suckers people into the hobby with a low price, and then people get to the performance of it, and they fall into one of two camps. They either fall into, I just got rooked, or they fall into, I spent the money, therefore this thing is good. Not everything is good, man. Sometimes there's a loss that needs to be cut. You need to recognize sunk cost fallacy, that if you're going to keep putting money into it, it's not going to get any better. I would put that up against a Red Cat Ascent. On class ones, on straight axles, outfitted with a van, all the limitations you can imagine engineering into it, and it'll still drive better. Yeah, Rudy, there's nothing quite like being told your opinion is wrong, right? As the dude would say, well, that's just like your opinion, man. Their opinion of my opinion is just an opinion, and I will take umbrage from now until the swallows come back, because I have this thing gathered and gleaned through experience, which is, I've built a couple RC crawlers in my time. This building has a couple of crawlers in it. So when I'm saying something about something, more often than not, it's in direct comparison. This, despite what parts may have been integrated and removed from it, that right there is an SCX 10.2. It has the geometry of a 10.2. It has the axle width, the spacing, the links, the gearbox, everything. Some of the parts might have been replaced. It still has a 3-gear in the middle with a brushed motor on it. Putting Toothless, the SCX 10.2, up against a Red Cat Ascent would be patently unfair. It would be a beating. And there is nothing remarkable. Well, he has dig, but there is and everything on axle and a brush motor. But I mean, it's depth and breadth, man. It's depth and breadth. What are the differences between pools? A pool is a man-made hole in the ground with water in it. Are there differences between pools? Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure there's a low end where if you build your pool too small, they'll just call it a hot tub, a cold hot tub. Then you keep making it bigger and bigger and bigger until you get so big, and I guess they call it a man-made lake. But there are definitely differences between ponds, and there are definitely differences between rock crawlers. They're not all the same. They're not all the same. Why do I get so wound up about Red Cat? Why do I get so wound up about Red Cat? If I keep buying axials, I know what I'm going to get. 100%. Same could be said for Element. You keep buying Element, you know what you're going to get. Hello, fellow hobbyists. Hello, Wild Buggy. The dude abides. That and Horizon adding $100 to their prices every year. Oy. Class 1 versus Class 2? Yeah, there are guys out there with Class 1s that'll smack guys in Class 2s around. Because if Nick over there is completely happy with his Red Cat and he's smacking people around with it, you know what, Nick? There's a hard truth to that, but you're going to like this hard truth. It doesn't mean the Red Cat is better. It means you're better. If we put something in your hands, if I put this in your hands, you're going to beat the crap out of those guys that you compete against. There's a little wooden piece around here, but I took it down because it got people too mad. It was brought to us through the courtesy of our chat. If your RTR can kill your hard lines, then your lines are weak. And a guy saw that and he took harumph, harumph. And he said, my Red Cat beat all of these guys in my whole club and nobody could keep up. And I responded to him factually when I said, then the guys in your club can't drive for shit. And he got really mad at that. There is a gentleman who comes over here and drives from time to time with an almost completely stock Element Enduro SE. Still has plastic links. It has Proline crawlers on it, and it has a Fusion Pro in it. That's pretty much it. And he can take pretty much any line anyone else can run, even the hard ones. He won't get it on the first try, but he'll get it because he's good at wheeling. It doesn't really matter what's under him. Think back to the guy whose bike got wrecked in at the end of like a stage in one of the big races. I don't think it was Tour de France. It might have been the one in Italy, which its name has escaped me. But near the end of the race, his bike, like the front wheel tacos, and he's 2 kilometers from the end of the stage, and a guy just sets his like bike that he rides to work over the fence. That guy gets on the bike and just shoots away like a missile, because that guy is very, very good at riding bicycles. The bike he's on is that last 2%. The 98% to get to that 2% is because that guy is basically a superhuman. It doesn't matter what you put under him. We experienced this. I'm falling behind in chat. We experienced this back in the Go Fast days. We would go down to a local track, long gone, called M&M Raceway, and there would be factory team drivers there. If you've ever been at a race course when a factory team driver is there, just sit back and watch. The fastest club guy will be going around the track, and that factory team guy will go past him like he's not moving. And I'm talking like the 17.5 turn stock class guys are blowing past the full mod guys because they're that good at driving. The separation between first place and 30th place at a comp, regardless of what that comp is, isn't the equipment. It's the guy. It's the guy. That guy will drive until he meets the limitations of the equipment, and then he will adapt to those limitations of that equipment. So, I don't advise anyone buy a Red Cat Ascent. But, at the same time, if you buy a Red Cat Ascent and drive it, baby, it's going to make you a better driver. Because that thing is not very good at stuff. So, when you get something in your hands that is good at stuff, if someone then takes your controller and drives your rig and hands you to their controller to their to a VRD or a ZRD or something like that, oh baby, you're gone. You're absolutely gone. You're gonna molest obstacles. The cops are gonna come. You're gonna murder obstacles because you put in the work. So it's power creep. You're starting at the low end of power creep. Why I would recommend against the Ascent is because it doesn't have the ceiling is right here. Here's the Ascent, here's the ceiling. You modify it, it doesn't get any better because the geometry's wrecked, the axles are terrible, all that. Once you replace all those parts, you have a completely different rig. It's not an Ascent anymore. So all that money that you spent on the Ascent, you didn't waste because you got an experience out of it, but you didn't gain in terms of, you take a Phoenix trail truck, make whatever you want out of it. And the starting price, a starting differential, a Red Cat Ascent at $299 for a regular one and $399 for a Fusion. That guy over there is $329. I would take one 10 times out of a 10, 100 times out of 100, 1,000 times out of 1,000. And that's just it. Because I haven't driven all of them, but I've driven a lot of them. A lot of them. And the Ascent will forever be down here because you can't unengineer bad engineering without removing that engineering. Now I've got to go catch. I got to go catch up. Okay, Roland Whitwer. Thank you, sir. Kiddie pool. Yeah, there you go. Okay. How many tenths of a millimeter would you say when you can get away when machining links? Set screw type. What do you mean? Like for the drill? Like
No, like how much shorter.
like length? I realize I'm a little bit behind. RC family, tenths of a millimeter in what direction? Buy an axial SCF tank base camp, the new one, or a TRX4 Sport. TRX4 Sport all day. I need popcorn for this. It's not the size of the stick, it's the swing. There you go. Who put a quarter in Mr. C? I want to thank you. There ain't nothing like a Red Cat rant. Dude, I'm wearing I just bought a DeWalt sweatshirt at the Home Depot, and I love it. I need to take it off. Baby, I'm getting heated right here. I'm getting heated. Buy a ticket, take the ride. Giro d'Italia. Thank you, Gorilla Design. The driver mod cannot be discounted. It's driver mod over anything. I want to change the pinion spur in my Ford Ice with the stock VFD. Can you recommend a starting point? Ford Ice is straight axle, right? Ford Ice is straight axle, so you should be geared 1356. Which way do you want to go? Your pinion should be a 13 because the portals come with a 15. So do you want to go up or down? Who asked for that? Ryan Albert, my recommendation, go on Amazon and buy the super cheap pinion assortment packs. They're usually like $10 for 5 gears. They're not the best gears. Try to find one that either starts in or that has 13 in it. So like if you find a pack that goes 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, perfect. Start with that one. Find the gearing you like, then go buy a Robinson Absolute of your final size and you're good. And then you've started to build yourself your pinion drawer so that when a new vehicle comes around, this is just 32 pitch 3mm. When a new vehicle comes along, you dig through there and you go, I want to try 14, and you put a 14 in there. Start with the cheap pinions, find out which way you want to go, then buy a good pinion. There's my where to start and finish. I need to ask, and I know I'm not allowed, but the Rift Jeep, it's coming. Was a pro racer. Nick was in pro racer for 10 years. All right. This dude, Tree, took third in a pro blading street comp wearing recreational blades. There it is. Oh, okay. I agree. Just like a lot of YouTubers are good at talking up an RC, when they run it, it looks like an infant is driving it. There's a channel, who shall remain nameless, that I understand a lot of YouTube channels have not embraced the beauty and power of the triangle and won't just buy themselves a tripod. Buy themselves a tripod, get a bucket chair, your driving will improve. So they continue to drive one-handed. They continue to drive with one hand and hold the camera of their choice, which is a phone, in the other hand. And it is my opinion, and this is just an opinion, that your driving is going to get to a certain level and then plateau because you're always one-handed driving. I can one-hand drive reasonably well. I cannot film and one-hand drive at the same time. That's on me. Is everybody else looking at this upside-down thing? I'll turn it over at some point. So I recognize that is forever going to be a drawback. So I'm going to sit down, put the camera on a tripod, and drive. Because I've noticed a lot of those people, one-handed driving, you're basically task switching. Your brain can't do two things at once. So this is patting your head, and this is rubbing your belly. So when you're applying throttle or you're trying to steer, your brain is going back and forth between the two. So I can pick out a one-handed driver on video because their throttle goes, brah, 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 brah. Wait for it. Hold on. Missed it. The skeeters are coming. Driving one-handed is going to make a lot of YouTubers look like they don't know how to drive, even though they're probably pretty good at it. I would go to Thunder Alley and Adam Drake would pass me twice until my one lap. Yeah, they are superhuman. They're just really, really good at it. That should be a song. Your geometry's wrecked. Da. I've been wondering about betting the bullet and buying a Phoenix, if nothing else, to have a Vanquish rig that I don't have to part together. The Phoenix kit and the VRD Carbon are the only things to buy from Vanquish. Take your choice. I would take the Phoenix 9 times out of 10. Overall length of the brass link. If just don't go over. You have a fudge space of legitimately, it's not tenths, in a couple of millimeters. If you're using, depending on what kind of rod end you're using, like if you're using a rod end like this and you make your link just the tiniest bit too long, you just touch this on the sander and you go back down. The only critical part is get the two links the same length. If your wheelbase is 315 instead of 330, nobody's going to know, not even the body. Like, unless you're comping and you're maxed out at 325 is the maximum for a comp, it's not a problem. Like, I love a 335 wheelbase, so I'll set rigs to 335 all day. When I'm setting up guys like this, unless there's a body that has fenders to line up perfectly, which is why the Proline Cliffhanger Tough Color is great. It doesn't matter. You can put a 335 under a 313. It doesn't really matter. Longer wheelbases are better at everything except turning in circles. Soon our VRDs will become ZRDs. Nice. As an Ascent owner, I have built a second truck attempting to upgrade it. Nice. Optic gears have been turning to mush, I saw on Facebook. Yeah, well, because the Optic comes with sintered axle gears. Sintered axle gears are not in and of themselves an automatic point of failure. It's just with whatever goes through a VFD, once you put something like a Fusion Pro in it, yeah, you're going to mulch one or both of those gears. I have heard that from altogether too many people. Luckily, it just uses AR44 gears, so you can just buy them on Amazon. Buy knockoffs on Amazon, shim them, and be happy. We're still waiting for the new base camp rant. Andre's present. Yeah, I know. I got to catch up. Oh, HVOT is even. We can't talk about Tapas, but we'll rant. He got one rant. He doesn't get a second one. My local shop don't sell them enough. $50. Oh, okay. I agree. Red Cat. Wait. Damn, it jumped. Oh, it jumped a lot. I only paid $250 for the Ascent and battery, so that's what got me in it. I get it. If there's a rant, it will be rewatched for sure. You're not going to like what I got for an ESC and motor. I'm sure that I'm not. That must mean it's Castle. Yeah, watch Logan drive the WRCCA Nationals one-handed. Revolver Snubnose Minimax 2. I don't have a problem with the revolvers. It's just going to be loud. I just don't like loud. I'd put any AM32 in there. I'm about to buy a Phoenix portal kit. Excellent. I live in Puerto Rico. 5 drops of mint in a quart of water. Splash of denatured alcohol keeps ants off. Simple Green diluted works good. Keeps ants out of your pants. Well, I need to know. The shop has the kit for $430 seems high. That is $31 more than it should be. I agree the Phoenix is a more versatile rig. The VRD is kind of limited to a point. Yeah, the VRD is the Phoenix is a Swiss Army knife. It's never going to be like, even after you Zoku and change the body, the VRD, because of the weight distribution, because it's running everything lighter, because it has that comp spec VFD rather than a twin, there's a lot of weight savings. It's more purpose built. If you're going through gates, VRD. If you want to build it and tinker it and put the body of your choice on it and put lights on it and a winch and do all that stuff, you get a Phoenix. You can also get pretty compy with a Phoenix, but none of the Phoenixes here are really built that way because there's so much versatility to it that just, we do this. VS410 chassis is not a bad C-channel chassis. Both of the twins are VS410s, just MES axles under them. My first build ended up around $335. That's pretty cheap. Who makes the TRX4 direct replacement carbon rails? They are made by Morlordy, Morlordy. You can find them on Amazon. Spoiler alert! At some point in an upcoming episode, and this is how they come. When you buy the carbon rails for TRX4, this is how they come. It's actually 5 pieces per side because the pinch is so big, they just make a front part of the rail, a middle part of the rail, and a back part of the rail, and little spacers that go in between. We're going to find out, for those following along with the sport build, we're staying with the sport tuning series. We're staying with that body. We're staying with those fenders. Can we put that chassis on that vehicle? Will the fenders and sliders and all that stuff bolt up to that chassis? Because the chassis isn't curved. It's flat pieces. If it works, we're going to do it. If it doesn't work, we're going to make it work. Enjoy makes rails for the TRX4. But not like those. Or just buy an axial with gears that don't turn to mush. I'm still the Optic. I still don't get it. Carly Ken, you made me buy a TRX for 350 British pounds. That's a lot. That's a lot. Axial needs to give us a new kit to blow our tiny minds. Yeah, last thing from Axial is the Pro, right? 10 Pro. Because this new thing doesn't count. Axial needs to put on an LCXU transmission kit with Dig. Bonita Creek RC, 100. Will it do double thumbs up? Can we double thumbs up, or is it just going to give us one? No, it's just going to give us one. 1,000 thumbs up. Why is there no LCXU with Dig kit external? Although, does Axial sell a gearbox kit for anything? Period. I don't know if they do. Is it only Element? I know you can buy them a la carte from Vanquish. They're just woefully expensive. But yeah, I would buy an LCXU kit today. Can you build a Phoenix to be a comp rig? Yeah. Yeah. Is 9i mod going into the new sport? Maybe in the future. A 9i mod what? Yeah, I mean, Nick, if you're as Too Geek to Be Chic said, if you're gonna try to get compy with a Phoenix, your first step is a Zoku chassis, and then de-Phoenix it, because if you're gonna comp a Phoenix, don't put the Phoenix body on it, as glorious as it is. Put a cab on it, or a cliffhanger, or a coyote, or something, because all of the gubbins that make it a Phoenix are not light. The body is too heavy for people to get super competitive at stuff, and it doesn't have the clearances. It has the front and rear clearances of a trail truck. A Zoku Phoenix with the Phoenix bits removed. So just a Zoku with the VFD twin in it, which is basically what this is going to be very, very capable. He is straight axle. I prefer the portal. I don't know why. I just like the portals. It has to be the gear reduction. I almost bought a full-on TRX4 earlier this year. Some weirdo sold one for like $200, used but nice condition. Someone beat me to it. Ah, it sucks. I didn't know the pinch was that much on the carbon chassis for the TRX4. Yeah, okay. Okay, wait. We gotta put somebody back. Okay. This goes in the garage right next to who we have to get. What are they doing next door? Like, are they getting a pool? Like, there's some digging going on there. Now, see, Daphne doesn't have to deal with the problems of dealing with the fenders and whatnot. So that actually helps us because we can really see the pinch, too. So you've got rail, spacer, rail, because the chassis is so wide there, and then look at, there's the block. So that's the huge question mark that I have with the fenders, is how is that gonna line up? If it lines up, and it's great, because the Morlordy, you can see the bolts attaching the pieces together. The Morlordy was my recommend to everyone for a TRX4. It drops half a pound in weight, because the TRX4 rails are absurdly robust. If you can drop a half pound of sprung weight for $40, yeah. So it is still highly recommended. I just don't know if it will fit under a clipless sport. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Some weirdo carbon chassis. When did they add the on-screen thumbs up thing? I've never seen that. There's other ones that they can do too. I don't remember. There are other ones. I know this one. It does that one. We do that one on accident all the time. There's also a way to make like fireworks. How does it do it? We went through this before, and there's like things you can do. Oh, is this bad in the UK? Yeah, there you go. There's a whole bunch of them, but I think a lot of them are reliant on your face. So the only one I can do is thumbs up. Is it just one hand? I don't know if it was one hand or two hands, but you do this and you get the oh, okay. So one hand is apparently balloons, and then this makes the confetti drop. Nope, that's balloons as well. How did I make the confetti drop? I'm considering making an aluminum chassis for my Element Ecto. Is it worth it? Sure. Yeah. I think everybody If you've got the tools and you've got the time, make your own flat plate chassis. It's fun. It's genuinely fun. If not, I mean, just make yourself some shock towers, man. They take minutes. And you have this joy when you make your own chassis. You know it's bespoke, like what's under him. And you get to tap and thread all of the holes for your shocks so that you don't have to use lock nuts. That's luxury. Yeah, making your own chassis is great. I just ordered a set of Mias drive shafts that have little E-clips. Never seen them before. My other ones are not like that. I think I know what ones you're talking about. The one Mias set I have has them. 9 iMod Outrunner. Maybe. I got a question. What drive shafts would you recommend for my TRX4 High Trail Ford F-150? I can't seem to find confirmed fitment. I don't know whether to call him Max or Paul or Max Paul 11. Max Paul 11, the difference between a TRX4 drive shaft and every other drive shaft is the part where it actually interfaces with the gearbox. Okay. So this part right up here is shorter than what is on a drive shaft that typically fits on like an axial or no, I'm sorry. Rewind, flip that script. This part is usually longer. This one is machined down for a reason. Virtually any drive shaft for Vanquish, Axial, Element, any of those you can put on your TRX4. No modifications. Getting a TRX4 drive shaft onto anything else requires trimming, cutting, and grinding. So any drive shaft you want, I would recommend just go on Amazon, get yourself some cut-to-lengths. Does anybody here rock and cut-to-length? No. Yes. Get yourself some cut-to-lengths. These are black. I usually prefer the stainless steel ones because when these get all marred up, they look gross. But I went ahead and put them on here because I don't think that these can ever really touch rocks. We might get a little scratch on that back one, but the front's going to be great. The cut-to-lengths are great. They're inexpensive. At the most I've seen for one is like $12, unless they're the oil slick ones. But like oil slick drive shaft seems extreme. Sfax is running some errands. Can someone tag me on the Discord with the timestamp for the base clamp rambling so I can catch up tonight? Ha ha ha. The part I hate about hard to mount tires is finally getting them mounted to realize you haven't punched the breather holes. Ed, let me grab one. Okay. I don't even remember. Oh yeah, OGRC road tires. This is a terrible example. But this tire is going on. These tires are 100% bound for the skewers. So this is an OGRC road tire. You've got your punch. You've mounted them and forgotten to punch them. You're going to grab your tire and you're going to pinch up a section of it right there. You're going to go sort of near the top of it and you're going to go. And then what it's going to do is it's going to leave you two little holes. I can't even see the other hole because we came out through a lug. And then there's our vent hole right there. You just snake bite them. It's a lot easier if your lugs aren't packed that tightly. I am semi-ashamed to admit that there is more than one set of tires that have the snake bite punch through them because I got them mounted and was like, no, I'm not unmounting those to punch the hole. You just snake bite them. The kit at the shop is Portal Phoenix. There's a straight axle one too. Yes, there is yes and no. They used to sell a straight axle Phoenix kit. If somebody has it, they have, the stink that tire put on my hand. If they have it, it's new old stock. They have not re-released or reinitiated the straight axle Phoenix. I strongly prefer the Portal. Yes, you can get the RTRs in straight axle, but the kit is Portal. Is there a good battery servo? Is there a good servo mount? Servo and axle mount for the Mias nylons? Yeah, you can use any mount. Don't they come with them?
Most of them come with them. I was just looking at Mias axles.
Yeah, they come with them. Yeah. The Mias nylon comes with a Portal. Are you asking about a battery on servo on axle mount? Bosoa? Is that what you're asking? Length of Endura straight and high clearance links. What would you use for the Mias Gold Flake chassis? Go on Amazon, look up RC Lions link set. You can get a set of links for the 10-2 that will cost you about, what are they, about $16 now?
16, 17.
Between $16 and $17 for a link set for SEX 10-2, and they are high clearance, and they will set you almost precisely at 313 millimeter wheelbase, depending on your skid. I've been wondering if that chassis would rose with my FCX. I never put the FCX chassis up against the TRX4 chassis to see how close they actually are or aren't. I can confirm fitment, and this, she's running the Bauhaus. I had to take the Bauhaus because the Bauhaus is supposed to nest inside the rails. I had to take it to the sander and take about 3 or 4 millimeters off of either side to get it to fit into here. The Bauhaus is a product that's been on Daphne forever, and it increases the ground clearance by 3 millimeters. And it is genuinely a product that I don't know if I would recommend it or not. Do you need to buy that? Do you really need that 3 millimeters? Because our man, the Sport, has he's got a couple little scratches on the bottom. Like these are pretty scraped up, but like that's barely even seen the ground. So what are we getting for the $30? I think it's $30 that you're spending for that 3 millimeters. That's an expensive 3 millimeters. Like a low mount. The mount that comes with it just sits on top of the pumpkin. Oh, you're asking for like a BTA. I don't know of a BTA centered pumpkin. You're pretty much only going to see BTAs on offset. So I certainly don't know of one. I do not know of one. I've forgotten to punch holes in tires many times. We all do. For some reason, this chassis seems to be left out in the descriptions aftermarket. It's the longest wheelbase. I wonder if heating up a really small drill bit would work for venting a mounted tire. You can, if you don't mind the smell and you don't shove it all the way through your insert, you can do it with a soldering iron or just heating up a screwdriver or an awl. But it's I strongly, a leather punch costs next to nothing. You can buy a shock plier that has a punch on it. If you don't, I will never waste an opportunity to tell people to buy tools. So go get yourself a leather punch if you don't already own one. You should all have shock pliers. You should all have Lexan scissors. There's a laundry list of things that you should all have. There's so many rigs over here. Hey, Pitch Black is on the... Well, I mean, I could watch Pitch Black right now. I could watch Pitch Black. Oh, there we go. Crawler Life with a suggestion of fronts. Oh, that's drive shafts. Yes. I've got, man, if I sit down and try to think how many different brands of drive shafts do I have, it's a lot. I like the Vanquish stock plastic ones. I think those are probably my favorite ones. But in terms of aftermarket, I don't know if I've met one that I don't like. If you'd noticed there a moment ago, Daphne was one of the first rigs that's really started to get work put in there. And she's running MIPs. I had forgotten the joy of putting MIPs together from my Go Fast days. So I have one rig fitted with MIP drive shafts. It's not even the cost. They are expensive. And they have never been maintained to any degree, period, since they've been put together. They're also basically bulletproof, but I'm not dropping $60 on drive shafts for vehicles very often. Do you only use the curved Lexan scissors? Yes. I've never even owned a straight set. I've only owned the curved. And I don't know if I had already mentioned it in one of the installments, So Dubro are the only ones that I'll buy. I had a set of Team Associated before that, which were just Dubro with different color handles. Like even where it says stainless steel Taiwan on it, they were identical in every way. I lost my original set in a fire, which is the only reason that I'm in my life on my third set of Lexan scissors. And, you know, I used to cut rubber mud flaps and stuff with them, so they'd probably still be going if I had used them strictly just for Lexan. Recommended axle replacement axle recommendations for an HPI Venture. Does the Venture? My brain wants to tell me that the Venture has an offset pumpkin, and then viewing the internet, I seem to recall it has a straight axle. If you want to stay straight axle, just put some AR-44s on it. Or they're fairly inexpensive. Like, okay, I'm going to rewind all that. Michael, Mr. Lenheiser, desired price point. Hit me with that. Do you like Ascent drive shafts? I don't. And here's why. They use a stepped pin. I actually have one right here. This is the drive pin from an Ascent. No, don't do that. Anything with a stepped pin, I don't like. I don't care what it is. If it has a stepped pin, I don't like it. So that is the reason I don't like Ascent drive shafts. All the plastic pieces in the middle, just fine. The ends with their stepped pins, no. Because that means your pins aren't the same as everybody else's pins. I don't need that in my life. Who is going to go camping with their new base clamp? Push for straight lines, hold for curves. Off to bed, people, due to the early shift tomorrow. See you later. Oh yeah, Team Revolt over there in Belgium. A working man. We get it. We pretend that we get it. I was debating. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I was debating this whole time. What Pistons do I want to put these Gross. What Pistons do I want to put these shocks together with? I was like, what do I want to use? These are already installed, and I can tell you that from taking apart the first set, they use like a reduction at the top of the shaft. So getting that E-clip off, I found the best way to do it was basically get your thumbnail wedged against one side and a screwdriver against the other side and kind of squeeze them off. And also their piston is a little, the gap between them is a little thicky, so you can get a little rock on the pinion. I do have a bottle of 80 weight somewhere. It's right there. So I'm just going to build these with 80 weight. I was going to get out the apparatus. So we'll still get out the apparatus. Why not? We're here, right? Did somebody just say Slim Jim Cheetos and orange cream soda? My God. My stomach, that would be like lighting a fire inside my body. I think I would die. So, my other thought was, luckily I have the bin open. 2669. Everybody knows my love of the Traxxas 2669, which we buy that has all these little pieces. And realistically, I only need these two pieces because we get two 2-hole pistons and two 3-hole pistons. We save the 3-hole pistons for later. We take the two 2-hole pistons now. And because we like to make work, life, and everything in between more difficult for ourselves, we have the two 2-hole piston, which is pretty good on 300 CST. It's maybe a little slow on 300 CST. Now wait, before I get going, later Revolt. Don't forget the Venture has panhard on the opposite side. Oh. AR-44 would be great then, because the C-hubs come off. And they're clockable. So you can take the C-hub off the one side and put it on the other side, and then you don't have a problem. AR-44, AR-45 might do you good. Here's the thing. You know what? You can be a guinea pig if you'd like. You could buy AR-45s or AR-44s, whether generic or real, and you could try assembling the 45 backwards to put the pumpkin on the other side. I've still wanted to do that to see if it's possible. Like, will the pieces key in correctly? Can you build an AR-45 with pumpkin right instead of pumpkin left? AR-44s would be the way to go, or any clone of an AR-44, as long as it has removable C-hubs, as I was reminded by the Panhard going the wrong way. I'd forgotten about that. Hey, yo, all. Hey, Mr. Canyon, what's on the bench? Whole bunch of stuff. Eddie's here. Vanimal's here. That thing's here. The Sport is here. I'm building these shocks, but I'm building the shocks very slowly. Very slowly. Is there anything at all you like about Red Cat? Red Cat crawlers? No. My LCG chassis has the same wheelbase as the High Trail. Work great and a lot of contact with no play. Yeah, because isn't the High Trail long? 330, 340? Yeah, I love Too Geek to be Chic. I love their lowriders. Yeah, their go fast stuff and all that stuff. People love it. People love the 64s too. I don't think the people that make the crawlers even know the people that make the other stuff. That's long been my theory. Did you know some people put peanuts in Pepsi? I know there are people that put pickles in Dr. Pepper. I've seen milk, but not peanuts. Yeah, a buddy of mine drinks Coke milk. Universality of parts is an absolute must. Forcing the use of proprietary parts is still definitely a big turnoff. Particularly when it's like basic parts, like drive pins and stuff like that. I'm still mad at Vanquish for their that pivot ball right there. The 10 millimeter wide one. It's a single mount. They could have just made it 7.5 millimeters wide. So anytime you want to, it's like some relative of Susan. That thing goes. Every time you want to mount shocks on a Vanquish axle, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the fourth one. So speaking of the spinny things, I've been tinkering with Traxxas pistons, because we have to deal with these shock bodies for some time now. And I've just been doing it with normal drill bits and the usual amount of stupidity that we employ for tasks around here. And then I was doing that thing at A-Main where you're trying to fill your cart. This looks like something a dentist would use. You're trying to fill your cart so you can either qualify for a coupon or qualify for free shipping. And that was when I landed upon the delightful Avid piston drill set. And I have determined that if you were to take the stock 2-hole piston and you take your piston drill, and if you want to see what a carbide drill goes through a plastic piston like, it's almost like it's not there. I drill these out to 1.4 millimeters. They come stock about 1.1 millimeters. The bit set comes all the way up 1.1 to 2.0, and mind you, I just said 1.1 to 2.0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2. That's blue, and that's blue. So don't try to use the colors to remember what the sizes are. You constantly have to look at the package to find out what the sizes are correct. But it is much handier than trying to stab at it with whatever bit that I've managed to find in a drawer. But for these, I'm just going to build them with the 4 slots and run them on 80 weight. I do like to run 40 weight. I buy big bottles of the very sweaty. This is what they look like after it's been used. This is what they look like when they're new. The oil starts to migrate out through the bottle somehow. I don't know how that works. But every low-C shock oil bottle I have is sweaty. Real sweaty. Investment pause. That's the reason I don't have an Apple. Nah. Well, don't hold it against me. The computer this is being live streamed from, the computer that I edit all my videos on. When I go into my general on my thing, there's an Apple laptop right under here. Except for my kids' gaming PCs and my wife's work laptop, it's Mac up in here. We got an Apple TV hooked up to the TV. Thoughts on moving my upper link to the other side on my Ecto? Will it change performance? My advice on your Ecto, unless you're really hooked up to chassis mounted steering, Just put the servo on the axle. Servo on axle ecto is just so much smoother in the front end. Am I running a chassis mounted steering element? I think one. I think there's one chassis mounted steering element here, the banana. I think it's the only one. The element axle is just a lot smoother with servo on axle. And there are plenty of servo on axle adapters out there, and they're cheap. But you can try moving it to the other side and see if it skews the front geometry. I've never tried it, so I can't tell you. Peanuts instead of must have more tools. Agreed. Pin vise and micro drill bits if you need search terms. Well, yeah, but you're not going to beat Avid, though. You're not going to beat Avid with 10 eighth shank carbide bits and a pin vise. I've got pin vices. This is probably my 5th pin vise in the building. This one's got a bearing in the handle for no conceivable reason. It was $20. Like, cost, and I'm not going to lose any of it. I'm 100% supportive of the Avid $20 piston drill set, because when I buy drill bits, you usually pay about $3 a bit. That'd be $30 just for the drill bits. Avid has got that value. They buy a bajillion drill bits. Apple is better for editing, but not so much for gaming. Oh, I'm not going to argue that at all. I have a computer in the house called a Mac Studio. I have a computer out here, which is a Mac Mini. I will never play games on that. And I'm not going to play games on that either. That thing edits video. It's called a Studio. I bought it to edit video. I got into a protracted argument with my nephew about how he was talking about that his built PC bro, could probably beat mine at what I do. And I was like, son, I import 80 to 100 gigabytes of files per day and export 2 to 3 videos ranging anywhere from 6 to 12 gigabytes. Do you know how long it takes to render, export, and compress a 12 gigabyte file from my Mac Studio? About 45 seconds. It's built for a singular purpose. I can't change the hard drive size. I can't add RAM to it. I don't care. It's not for the poors. It certainly is not. My kids' 2 gaming PCs probably cost less than my Studio. But I'm not playing Roblox on it all day. I'm doing work. So you buy the tool for the job. Have you watched Justin Morgan Had a Horse yet? Damn it, no, I haven't. And now that you've brought it up, now it's going to, well, maybe now it'll be in my head. Do you have a certain bearing brand for replacements? When possible, we buy Avid. Avid RC bearings are $1 a piece, and they are great, particularly when you buy the Avid ones that, I don't remember what they call them. They're metal shielded on one side and rubber shielded on the other. They are the ones. They look like. Here's a tiny one. The Avid with the yellow shields, and then on the other side it's metal shielded. Because I can't actively think of a situation where you need rubber shields on both sides. Because bearings are never open on both sides. How would they be? One side's going to be inside the gearbox, the other side's going to be facing out. One side's going to be facing out of the axle, the other side's going to be facing in. The bearings inside of like portal boxes and axles, those can be unshielded. But I love those Avid RC. I will use the, like, what are they called? Winter Evening or whatever they're called. The super cheap bearings that you can get off of Amazon. Yeah, I mean, I use them. Sure, of course I use them. Because sometimes I need a bearing right now. I'm trying to put an axle together and I'm like, oh, great. I don't have any 5x12s. I go on Amazon and I buy whatever is cheap. Because, again, much like C rating, crawlers don't really care how fancy your bearing is. Apparently it's cold in Michigan. Justin Morgan, bearings. You being us, not you specifically. I can dig it. I have nothing against Apple. Its proprietary system is why I never got into them. Been like since. Yeah. Apple has always been the same. That's like they haven't really changed their model. Apple builds stuff for Apple, and they seem to make efforts to make it so that their stuff doesn't work with stuff that's not Apple. That's a thing. And they used to be really expensive. Apple stuff was very expensive. And now the entire rest of the market caught up, and they make very expensive stuff too. Yeah, as far as ease of use, Apple is the way to go. Yeah. What was that? What was their slogan for years? It just works. Yeah. I never think about my phone. I don't think about it at all. It works. I use it to check on video uploads. I use it to upload shorts every once in a while. I use it to play video games on the toilet just like everybody else. That's what phones are for. The amount of think about it. Sit down and think about it if you want to ruin your day. How much time do you actually spend using your phone as a phone? I don't mean text messages. I mean, how many minutes in an average day are you on a phone call on your phone? I haven't gotten a phone call on my phone in 2 days. So it's been video games, pretty much. And, camera. It's also a camera. It's a thing to play video games and take pictures. Do you have any a divorced motor mount has a bearing that's open on both sides. Not all of them. Not all of them. Not the Creeper T and fake one. It has a little clever box with 2 bearings on it. The single bearing ones, no, they don't. The 10 Pro has, no, you're right. I thought for a second the 10 Pro had one from each side. Boop, boop, boop. No, it just has the one. So that one would technically be open on both sides. But again, it's a rock roller. Do you have any experience with the Endura forward skid chassis? Yes. Colonel Mustard is one. If you buy one, it's great. Let your mind accept the links that go like this. They work. They look horrible, but they work. Don't ever try to make a chassis mounted steering. Hey, don't be calling out my Candy Crush addiction. Oh man, I remember Candy Crush. Wow. Too Geek to Be Chic has got it right. Has got to be right. Once you buy something on the Apple Store, you are stuck with them. I call it the ecosystem. Because what if I can't find my phone? Like that. That's how they get you. That's how they get you. Do you know how much I miss using this as a camera? I can airdrop the full files wirelessly from that phone to any of my Apple devices in seconds. I miss that. Now I've got to use this. This is what I operate from. Someday I'll find a marker that can mark on an SD card and stay. This card is in this camera right now. As fast as they are, 200 megabytes a second, theoretically, and you're transferring 100 gig, it's going to take a few minutes. It's going to take a few minutes. If people want to use Android phones, that's great, man. I don't care. I don't care what kind of phone somebody uses. I use Apple because it fits my needs, and I got my first Apple II GS in like 1986. And I've been stuck there ever since. Every time I have to open that damn Asus laptop to to program a speed control, I'm like, is it going to turn on? How many times is WinZip going to remind me that it needs to be updated? Hello to Australia. The only games I play on my phone are Car X Rally and RTHD. RTHD is like SnowRunner. I used to play Top War, and now I play Last War. And we played Township for, 6 years? 5 or 6 years, and then that game tanked itself. Mount the wavy links to the inside or the outside of the chassis. It depends. I've seen them both ways. I prefer inside the chassis, but I want to say that the one here is outside the chassis. I think outside is going to clear better. Prefer 15 weight versus 30 weight on an RTR. Well, okay. Oil weight in a shock is as variable as the colors of the wind. I know that the pistons in a big bore or in a GTS are pretty comfortable around 300 CST, between 250 and 300 CST. The heavier weight you can run without really slowing your shock down is what you should run. because I like to run nothing lighter than 40 weight, which is 600 CST. I think, is that right? Or is that 500 CST? What is 40 weight? Well, 80 weight is 1,000, so obviously 40 weight would be 500. I try not to run anything lighter than 500 CST because it's going to leak out a lot more slowly. And leaking out more slowly is an advantage.
Is this the kernel?
Yes. Is the inside or outside? Oh, the kernel is inside, and he's CMS. That's how I got away with it. Yeah, there's no way. Yeah, on that chassis, if this is the Injora skid forward that you're talking about, the one that has the real crookedy, crinkly, you can't, this is 3-link. You're going to be running the links on the outside of the chassis because if you try to run them on the inside, they're going to hit the drive shaft for sure. Well, I also ran offset pumpkin. I did everything you're not supposed to do to the Injora. I had to build the servo mount with the laydown, and then this is built out of element bits. Getting this front end, and it has no bumps here at all. This was ice skating uphill to get this thing to work. Don't ever do this at home. Build that thing servo on axle on a centered pumpkin axle like a Mias or an AR-44 or something like that. Never try to put an AR-45 portal with CMS under that Injora chassis. It will work, but my God, at what cost? I was never seduced by the forbidden apple. Speaking of cameras, you want to give the GoPro a go? I've got 4 batteries and a charger for it. Are you trying to give me things? Because did you just try to give me a UTB-18? If you want to give me a UTB-18 and a GoPro, I'm not going to stop you. I won't stop you. If people try to give me things that aren't like diseases, I'll take it. I've already caught the disease of addiction to toy cars, so that it's too late for me when it comes to that. Do you do belt drive for torque twist or speed reasons? Speed reasons. The belt drive is going to go on there in the instances where you just can't get the speed. You can't get wheel speed. So what's cheaper? Pulling a belt drive out of a bin or spending $15 on a belt drive or changing your whole drivetrain? What if you're on a 2300 kV or a 2500 kV and it's still not fast enough? Bluebird is getting a motor change because he's on a 2000 kV with a belt drive and he's still not very fast, like just over walking pace wide open. He's nice and slow, but I feel like he has torque and sort of a surplus even with that 380. So I have a Holmes, I've got a Revolver in there, 2500 kV, which had no job. Like, I'm like, what am I going to put a 2500 in? I just found it. If you have a 10 Pro and you swap the portals on it, you're going to be doing a 2500 or a 3000 or something, because I had to put a belt drive on it, which is like 2.6 to 1. Like, this guy is running he's running the stock gearing 1356 on a 1800. Is it an 1800 or is it a 12? I can never remember what's in anything. 1800. So stock gearing in this on an 1800, he's too fast. I tried putting a Fusion Pro in there. He's like lightning. Like lightning in a bottle. And I don't believe I can go much smaller on the pinion. I can go a little smaller on the pinion. Not much. Oh, do I have a 1200? Should I put a 1200 in Eddie? Do I have a 1200?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Might have to put a 1200 in Eddie. Maybe that's why I've been mad at Eddie. Eddie, we've been having issues. Because I can't get him to work the way I want him to work. You know, that's the thing. I was thinking, could the UTB-18 be the first small-scale crawler for the Canyon? I mean, not really. We all agree. Yeah, I mean, I did the test. There's one right on the other side of the wall. People keep bugging me about finishing it. But it's kind of right there. Here's the thing. The bugger has still not been driven yet. And I don't think I could accurately explain to you specifically why. I don't know what it is. Mr. Truitt and I have come to an agreement, as he mentioned so succinctly in a comment some while back. You gotta be in the mood to do shit. And that is true. Truer words have seldom been trued. And I don't know. There's when I think about what am I going to work on today, that one doesn't leap to my mind. Not for any specific reason. I don't dislike it. I just, if I'm thinking about toy cars, that's not the first toy car that comes to mind. So we end up on something else. It came from the Workbench 48. Is going to be the next one that is started. And that one I have to cut chassis rails for. So when that one gets underway, I'll cut the rails for the Jeep, for the Rift Jeep as well. Once the rails are cut for Rift Jeep, we're most of the way there. We're in progress. It's just getting the rails. I haven't. Hey, I'm not ashamed of it. It's not something to be ashamed about. I haven't been in the mood to cut rails, and I'll tell you what. Watch your weather report. Put Inland Empire, Southern California in your weather app. Next time you see it forecast for like 3 days of rain, oh baby, you know we're cutting some chassis rails. Winter is gonna just bunny hop over fall, and the next thing we know, it's gonna be cold and wet and rainy outside. And once it's cold and wet and rainy outside, you can be almost sure that we're gonna be in here fabricating. Maybe that's it. Maybe I don't even notice that it's happening, but my brain is waiting for the weather to get extra gross so I can come indoors and build stuff. What tires would you use for a UTV 12? You can't really fit. Yeah, there it is. An assumption. 393 Tusks. You're really hard pressed to fit anything bigger, particularly, and with the axles. If you're trying to do like a bugger with the body on it, 393 is about the upper limit. And 393 Tusks are outstanding. So you're not taking any sort of performance hit by going with a 393 Tusk. Are you going to run legs on deadline? No, legs is not running deadline. Legs is leaving. He's leaving on a little white truck, not a jet plane, but he is headed to a forever home. My mom is making Alfredo chicken pizza for lunch. Oh, shit, that sounds pretty good. Yeah. I have tusks still really tall. Really? He's had a 120. Yeah, well, I still do. It's kind of a trip. It's kind of a trek. But we keep putting people on camera. So I have pretty much all the electronics installed. I had mounted the body. I don't know. Settle. Look how dusty that body is. Actually, I correct that. Don't look at how dusty that body is. I think the proportion is pretty good. I just remembered I have to build the whole bottoms of those. I don't know, that tire 393s, they look about right. I mean, there are 385s. If this is too tall for you, then I would definitely say start looking at RC four-wheel drive, looking at either 155s. I've lost my pointy stick. That's not surprising. Okay, I'm just going to put them in my hand. Ugh. 1/12 Element SE. Somebody just asked me this morning? Somebody asked if I would recommend the Enduro 12. Oh, man. It's so bad. It's inexcusable, really. They just rebadged a Thunder Tiger and put a different body on it. It was like, here's some swill for you to eat. Oh, it's narrow for the high weight is what I meant. Oh, okay. You meant the whole vehicle. Got it. You mean the whole vehicle's tall. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong there. All right. Okay. I feel like I'm mentally prepared. So I still have it open on a tab up here. There's a tab open in the background here of the new, and when you say new, you have to make air quotes around it. The new axial base camp. Okay. Respect where respect is due, and credit where it need be given. It looks good. It looks good. I don't like that body because I have problems for reasons when it comes to that body. I like the molded sliders. It has a stylish truck body. Here's the problem. Here's the real problem. They did what everybody else has done. They've done, that is the Element Bushido Plus. That's what the new base camp is. They didn't change anything. It has all of the exact same stuff that was in the base camp, including all of the things. It's still the same body, which is virtually impossible to self-right. And when you put that fish hook coming off the side of it, that's a snorkel, that's not going to help. Of course, we got licensed bumpers and the tube sliders and the motor, which they went ahead and got a new sticker for it. And I'm waiting for my checks for their Slick Rock motor. I'm waiting to get to see when I get my pay for that. I'm not holding my breath, but that body of all of the, like, if we're talking TRX4 Sport versus 10.3 Basecamp RTR, as I said before, and when I say it, I absolutely mean it. It's not even close. That 10.3 body is enough to skew. Now, there's a good chance this will be a video later. This progression, this right here, and I'm pointing at the screen where I'm looking at the pieces of it. What they've done right there is everything that I hate about the hobby sector. The new parts are the sliders and the bumpers and the little cosmetic gewgaws and doodads. So to potentially spoil my own future content, if you're talking about $319 for the Basecamp, new Basecamp, which again really follows in the axial method of not changing a name. We're gonna change the vehicle up, and then we're gonna sell it at a cheaper price. We're not gonna change anything else. So now it's a 10.3 Basecamp, and somebody would say, "Oh, do you have a 10.3 Basecamp?" Yes. "Oh, do you have this one?" "No, I got the other one." "Oh, do you mean this one?" "No, I got the other one." No, I got the original one. I have the OG 10.3. Still no dig in it. They could have put dig in it. It still has the bumper mounts with the damn 10.3 body mount pins holes in it. Wait, does it mount that way? Okay, it mounts that way. Rescinded. It's got the bare bones LCXU. It's got that awful Spectrum, 614 servo. It's still rocking the 40 amp Spectrum with the SLT3. That $10 is an immense $10. That's an immense $10 because I'm looking at it here from the side. I need to move it. Oh, can I do what's on the split screen? There we go. Okay. So look at this. He's learning. He's learning. So we've got all of the usual crap. Like if we're looking at this part right here, all of this crap has got to be replaced. These shocks are going to leak like somebody shot holes in them. All right. That's the way those stock shocks are. These wheels and tires are going to be reheated garbage, just like they were before. The motor and the speed control and the servo are all terrible. The SLT3 is awful. It is a ghastly radio. There is a gentleman right over here, right here. Stock tires, stock shocks, stock radio, stock motors, stock ESC. You know what? That thing is perfectly capable and competent. And there's nothing on that vehicle as it sits right now that needs to be replaced. Nothing. You could drive it like that for years and years and be absolutely happy with it. Absolutely ecstatic with it. So that base camp, to get that base camp RTR, to get it RTR, you're well past $500. Well past. That radio, replacing the radio is pretty much a given nowadays. You can live with this because, as I point out in the videos multiple times, this radio, see this big old swelly right here? Like you're holding a bow? It's nice. Look, it falls into your hand. The wheel tension is heavy, but it's not too heavy. The trigger tension is heavy, but it's not too heavy. Traxxas has been doing this for a long time. This is a 2-channel radio in the most distilled form of a 2-channel radio. It goes forward and backward. It goes to the right and to the left and vice versa. And that's it. You get a steering trim knob. That's it. I'm sure this does something. I don't want to get into the button presses and the beeps to figure out what it does. It works fine. If you've not upgraded your electronics in the vehicle, you don't need to upgrade this. That SLT3, I have one here. It is the radio that powers JunkBot, because JunkBot is made out of only the worst parts. All of the Spectrum radios. I mean, I don't know about how much does that new one cost? I don't know about the like $800 one. The tires on this new base camp have softer foams. Ooh, oh boy. Oh boy. The tires are still poop though, because look at the test protocol. The only R35 compound tire that Axial has managed to get remotely correct is the Ripsaw. God bless them, they keep trying. But anything from Axial, anything, Ripsaw included, I will put up against a Canyon Trail. 1.9 or 2.2, doesn't matter. The red button is for setting the ESC and trims. There you go. There you go. I'm going to be honest. I've never left an XL5 HV in anything long enough to worry about having to set anything. Oh, okay. All right. Too geek to be chic. That's why it's cheaper. It's not made in Taiwan anymore. So formerly made in Taiwan, now made in China. That'll be fun. That'll be super duper fun. Again, there's 114 people. 114 people out of the planet are getting a spoiler here. This is coming up in a quick view soon to the channel. Our good buddies at Hot Racing and at Hot RC. This is the CT8. I had recently tested the CT6. And if you want to know that this thing is not on full release, this is what the whole manual looks like. I am super anxious to test this because it is inexpensive and it's an 8-channel radio. So we're going to test that real soon, and there's no saying it won't end up on old Sandy over here. Can we hook the Radio Link 8-channel thingy pad up to 4-wheel steer? You absolutely could. Can you show how you mounted that bug body? So this is the full bugger. So you see the holes right here? It's a little tricky to get on and off. Kind of got to move your way down. So underneath, there are set screws existing on the 3D printed sliders. And then you get to go through the arduous process of lining up where to drill for those 4 holes. And by gum and by golly, I think I actually did it. I got close because it is a little tricky to get on and off, but I guess that's good. And then if you were going to drive this for any sort of an extended period out in the wild, instead of set screws, you could just use regular screws, which would make it a lot easier to put on. But I like the set screws-ish. I like the set screw, sort of. Now I'm trying to get the body back on. There's one, and there's the other. So, there we go. There we go. Yeah, that is the way it is intended to be mounted. And I mean, it really does hold. They really thought this thing out. The bugger kit, they really thought it out. But I don't know. There's just something. There's something missing. And it was a pretty mild rant. That's because, okay, I didn't have huge problems with the base camp. There's a big, and here's how you know. I mean, there's not a ton left of a base camp, but there is the LCXU, and there are only 2 axial gearboxes in service in the entire fleet. This one and the 10 Pro box that's in Bluebird. Axial, they don't make a gearbox good. They make them overcomplicated, over-engineered, underperforming, any amount of negative adjectives that we can apply to it. And I don't make any apologies for those statements because I didn't make those parts, they did. Yeah, it wasn't a red count level because can you set trims on the TQ? Presumably, I've never done it. I've never done it because it works out of the box, particularly when paired to a 2075X. And rather than go through watching blinking lights or whatever, you can just buy a new radio. So there's that. You can just buy a new radio. Radios are pretty cheap. You just buy a radio. How much has to be replaced in the old base camp? So the kit, the actual base camp builder's kit, the only part of it that is critically not engineered correctly, in my opinion, is the micro servo mount for the dig. It's too short. You can probably make it work, but I found it easier to just manufacture a new plate. But like, these axles are just fully stock axles, front and rear. I mean, it's been Zoku'd. It was my intention to Zoku it from when I initially bought it. But like, the base camp kit is nearly comparable to the TRX4. But it's straight axle. So you're kind of doing a different thing. I don't like the AR-44, the AR-45P. I don't like the 45 Portal. I'm not sure why, but I don't. Because I like the 10 Pro Portal, which is, I think they actually call it the AR-45 Pro. I like those. I don't know what it is about the AR-45 Portal. I don't know what it is about F10 straights on Phoenixes. I like F10 straights everywhere else, but I don't seem to like them on Phoenixes. Don't buy Bully 2s. They're an absolute bitch to mount. Way harder than Boom Racing Hustlers. Nothing is harder than Boom Racing Hustlers. Apparently, 22 days ago, I became a member here and have zero recollection of doing it, but here I am. You probably got a free one. Somebody was throwing them down. You got a free one. The TQI has a Bluetooth module that I usually use the app, and it's much easier. Yeah, I've done. Oh, hey, come on. Come on. Come on. I think I've owned the Bluetooth module twice. I've owned the little mount that you can put on the top of your phone that shows telemetry on it. It's gewgaws and it's doodads. I don't think it's for me. I don't explicitly recommend that to anyone. Buy a radio link, you know? Buy a radio link and give the other one to a friend that has an SLT3. You know, that's how I feel about that. Give it to someone in need. But I don't recommend people pour money into TQIs. They're fine. I wanted to bugger the UTB-18 and just lost interest at $200 more. Yeah. If I buy an old base camp kit, I won't have to change the shocks. The chassis rails are decent. All those shenanigans. If you can get a hold of Racing, if you can get a hold of Desert Lizard seals, you can put Desert Lizard seals in your axial shocks and make them not leak as much. You can make them leak less. But in their stock configuration, every axial shock is going to leak like somebody shot holes in it. They just do. The one that leaks the least is the 10 Pro, and they still leak. They still can't get it right. Because every time they come out with a quote-unquote new shock, It has the same seals in it. And until they start using different seals, they're going to keep leaking. I feel like I'm talking deep science to Axial. I have Desert Lizard Spare Seals, the big ass bag that comes with Desert. Yep, then you're set. Then you're set. Pop those seals in there, and they will definitely slow down leaking. We actually walked around this morning, and we did a thing where we counted what are all the shocks. Was that on a whiteboard, or did I write it down? That's on paper. On a paper, right here, I have all of the shocks in place in the Canyon fleet. If someone were to hazard a guess that does not net you anything except the knowledge that you guessed correctly, what would you guess is the second most common shock here? You could guess the first one too. Chronics for $70 worth it? How many Chronics are you getting for $70?
Exactly.
Is that 2? Because I'm not going to recommend you buy $140 worth of shocks. That's crazy. Chronics are really good, but that price is really bonkers. I saw a secondhand base camp kit and just want to know if it's actually worth it. I haven't even compared prices, just want to know your opinion. I mean, it has the limitations of a 10.3 on the stock rails, but it's still good. When I did the quick view on the RTR, the biggest drawback was the body, because it doesn't self-right, because the roof tucks in so tight that when I did a Tellustrator in the video where when a rig rolls onto its side, where's Zubazu's lid? When a rig rolls onto its side, its tendency to be able to be self-righted is determined by an imaginary angle. Like when this guy falls, you see how he's right there? Wait. You see how he's right there? That's about as far as you can fall and still self-right. Oh, that's for 4? Buy them now. Now. Buy them now. 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 Go there now.
Yes.
Right now. Whatever you're doing, throw it out of your hands and go there and buy them now. $70 for a set of Chronics, just buy them. The base camp, when fitted with its stock body, flops to about there. And once your wheels go by past that point, you can't self-right anymore. You just whoop, 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 and curly shuffle around on the ground. So if we're talking about RTRs or kits, and now you've got to go out and drop $40, $50, $60, $80 on a body as soon as you get it, TRX4 Sport Body self-rights amazingly. Because, I think this is no small part of it, this angle of the window. The base camp tapers in too much. The cab almost looks like look at it. Look at it with your eyes. The cab, look how small the cab is compared to the rest of it. Like the bed looks, oh, big arrow. The cab looks like out of proportion. Well, I got to go over here and then I can scroll. And there it is right there. Here it is, everybody. Officially licensed Falcon Wild Peaks. Do we remember the Falcon Wild Peak at all? Is anybody thinking about the Falcon Wild Peak? Where? Oh, I'm going wrong. Then we got to go back here. Then we go like that. Then we go back to here. This is a Falcon Wild Peak with all the lugs cut off and turned inside out, and it grips better inside out than it did right side out. So that's the stock tire on a new base camp. TRX4 coming with the GTS. What do we have to say about GTS? Slept on. People be sleeping on GTS. Okay, all right, here we go. If you have deep pockets, GTS second, Desert Lizards first. GTS is second. Chavs number 1, GTS number 2. Chavs are number 1. How much heavier is their camper body, the TRX4? Quite a bit. Because it's the same body, but it has the whole... Oh, wait, no, the camper? Oh, a couple grams. Unless you put all the plastic bits on it. And if I remember correctly, is it pre-cut? Remind me, is the camper body pre-cut cut out for the grills, or do you have to cut out for the grills? If you don't have to cut out for the grills, you're not picking up that much weight on the camper over the regular one. Desert Lizards first and GTS second. S8Es. My comp wagon rolls straight onto its roof. Yeah. Ecto Servo and Axle will change your life. True. Falcon Peak, Wild Peak. Wow, a completely new tire. Amazing. We've never seen them. You know what gave it away? It was all the O's followed by all the I's. Let me try to read it better. Falcon Wild Peak. Wow, a completely new tire. Amazing. We've never seen them. Yeah, absolutely. They're going to give you the tire that is fairly poor. Like, they have tires that would do better, but they are, everybody, officially licensed. All TRX4s come with the TQI that has extra switches, does not support. That is true. I still have a set inside out, too. Yeah, there you go. I can buy deluxe shocks for them for $100. What makes the Chronic better? Well, that's the deal. Regular price on the Chronic, don't buy Chronics. They're $200. Basically, the way they've made the seal pack, you're never supposed to have to need to replace it. Like, you never need to replace the seals. That is what they claim. They are almost extraordinarily smooth. I have 2 sets of them here. I have paid for neither of them, but I have them fitted to 2 vehicles. Esky is now fitted with Chronics, and Tank is fitted with Chronics. And they are very good. But as no matter how good they are or might be, they are definitely beyond the point of diminishing returns. $200 for a set of toy car shocks is what I would classify as a non-starter.
$80. Buy 'em.
I actually like the Falcon Wild Peaks. They look scale and are fine for trailing. They do okay on rocks, but you won't make all the gates. And well, here's the thing. Here's the differentiation of in the tier rating, which is now locked in my brain. Would I buy the Axial Falcon Wild Peak to put it on a vehicle? No. God, no. Would I buy a Canyon Trail? Yeah, absolutely. I've bought numerous Canyon Trails. So in the spirit of, is this tire worth buying? Not is it okay because they gave it to me for free? Then no. Axial Wild Peak, bad. One of their worst offerings. Does it come on beadlock? Are those beadlocks or are those glue-ons? Black Rhino one piece, which means glue-ons. Well, saves you work. You don't have to worry about baking them off. I've been told that they are doesn't. What are doesn't? Have you seen deluxe new tires? Apparently they're just. Neil. Oh man. Oh wait, man. Oh man. Wait. I was sent a video. I don't think he's here today. JP Wirt sent me a video. Him and his buddies tested the new deluxe, the cut tires directly up against megalithics, side by side, head-to-head competition on the same obstacles, and I can summarize by thusly, it wasn't even close. The Megs knocked those deluxe tires around. They got slapped around. As I said, I think those deluxe tires will be really strong in a very specific situation. But for overall, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. Canyon Trail in green? Don't do that to me, Bill. Don't do that to me. Somebody give a wringle jangle. Knock out the lawyers at Traxxas. First, we have to deploy some sort of green goblin gas bomb and knock out the legal department at Traxxas, and then we'll use their eyes while they're unconscious to open their phones, and we'll do something legal so that J Concepts can make a J Concepts Canyon Trail in green compound, and then it'll be the last tire we ever need to buy. In 1.9 and 2.2 LP.
Cut and siped.
Oh, cut and siped. Yes, that's what they're gonna come from. They're gonna come from J Concepts looking exactly like this, but they'll be molded in green, and then we will all dance. We will all dance together under a delightful evening sun. Man. I think that not just about tier, particularly not just about GTS. I think that about a lot of tires. The Wild Peaks are one, seeing as we're talking about Wild Peaks. If you were to take the Axial Falcon Wild Peak and take the mold that they use and mail it over to Vanquish, and take the Vanquish mold for the Vanquish Falcon Wild Peak and mail that mold over to Axial, and now Vanquish makes the Axial tire in Vanquish Red, and Vanquish makes the Axial, and Axial makes the Vanquish tire in R35, it would be very close as to which tire would be better. Because the Vanquish version is too thin for its compound, and the Axial version is too thick for its compound. If we take the thin one and put R35 in it, look at these. If we take the thick one and put red in it, like a these. But they'll never give it to us. Is the Element Enduro SE Spring Pack the right one for 10th scale? If you get the soft, I don't even know what the hard ones are for. Like, your rig would have to weigh like 14 pounds. But Axial can't sell them as the new officially licensed tire. Tall officially licensed Falcon Wild Peaks when Vanquish has been selling for a long time. That's just like, guys, you are really late with this tire. Yeah. Canyon Trail. Okay, Canyon Trails. I just scooped a dozen Canyon Trails this week. Heck yeah! I heard you say the blind gentleman sponsored a Canyon build. Is he still able to see well enough to crawl? I don't know if you'd call it crawling.
Like mash obstacles.
He just mashes obstacles. He's like a formula. He's a formula off-road guy. He just kind of goes at it because with one eye, you don't have this thing called depth perception. And depth perception, when looking at a pile of rocks, next time you're out on the rocks, do it yourself. If you have a pirate eye patch, bring it with you. If you don't, you could pull your beanie down over one eye. If you're not wearing a hat, just close one eye and try driving with one eye and realize that the difficulty level go right through the roof. Like right through the roof. You're like, wow. When you have no ability to tell if that rock is flat or vertical, it gets really tough. I saw that ExoCage RC video with the Deluxe Swampers and Megalithics. I haven't seen that one. Oh, Chronix only 80 millimeters, 4 for $70. Do you own a Phoenix? Saxton's got a Phoenix, right?
Buy them.
Phoenix Portal runs 80s. Put those Chronic 80. Why are we still talking about it? Why have you not bought those Chronics yet? Chronics on a Phoenix? You're replacing S8Es? Oh, by the way, going back to the list, somebody said, whoever said Chavtex 1 GTS 2, yeah, 100% right. We have 15 sets of Chavtex here and 11 sets of Traxxas GTS. The wild part is all of the GTS are in service. All 11. Of the Chavtex, only 10. We have 5 sets that aren't installed yet because they're either for future projects. They're not built yet. Like, they're not built yet to replace what they're going to replace, because in the fleet are still 2 remaining sets of S8Es, and it is my mission to delete those S8Es from the catalog. Okay, now I need to try to do something, so I'm going to lose chat for a second. I got to make sure. Oh my God! You need send me a picture, Mythigan. Send me a picture on Instagram right now. Send me a picture. Oh my God. This must be shared with the world. I'm opening it already. Okay. I already have you open on Instagram. Please, 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 please send me a picture of it. I need to see it. I need a battery 3S, but small so it fits in my class 1 recommendations. How small are we talking, Neil? How small are we talking? 3S 850 is in, hey, I found the stick. It was hiding in plain sight. 3S 850 is 65 long, 35 wide with the Velcro on it, so call it 32, and tall 25. 25 by 35 by 65. The next step down would be like a 450, and those are like tiny, like super, super, super tiny. When I say super tiny, I mean super tiny. 45, 25, 20. I thought you had in second SADs because other people give them away. I've been replacing them. And then, not only that, I've been giving them away.
Why not donor rig?
If you're getting a giveaway rig, it's probably got S8Es on it. Because it probably came with S8Es on it. So we're trying to get rid of them as fast as we can. So, the man from Mythigan ordered a rolling garage workshop tool organizer, multifunction tool cart, built-in drawers, wheels, etc. from AliExpress, and it was very inexpensive. And if anyone has any worries about ordering things that are very inexpensive off of AliExpress, this is what he received in the mail. There is his rolling tool cart. If I remember correctly, it was very inexpensive. Inexpensive to the point where if it seems like too good to be true, it probably is. And here we are. He got a bracelet made out of beads. That's. Oh, AliExpress. Look at Three Brothers. They have some new tiny 3S and 4S. How tiny are we talking?
If your rig weighs too much, they don't work.
Okay, I'm going to lose chat for a second here because I have to try to find something. I'm going to try to make something work. How do I go to it? Oh, there we go. I'm almost back. What? Oh, I want to try something. I just brought up my own stream. Oh God, are you ready? This is a bad idea. We're going to go there anyway. Okay. So there's the stream. I want to try I just brought up my own. No, I don't like what's happening right now. I just brought up the stream because I'm trying to get a link. Are you ready? Own stream. This is a bad idea. I've been holding my finger out here. We're going to go there anyway. Oh, there it is. Okay. So there's the stream. Oh no! Oh no! I just brought up. How deep is it going to go? I don't like what's happening right now. How deep is it going to go? What have we done? There's the stream because I'm trying to get. I'm trying to paste this link. This is one of those. I've been holding my finger out here. We're going to go there anyway. So that we can try to give away. Okay. Blackjack. So there's the stream. Oh no! Oh no! I just brought up. How deep is it going to go? I don't like what's happening right now. How deep is it going to go? What have we done? There's the stream because I'm trying to get. I'm trying to paste. Are you ready? Link. This is what I'm holding my finger out here. We're going to go there. I thought to give away, but it turns out I haven't prepared. Blackjack. So there's the stream. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Okay, now my window over here is crazy. That's what I get. I think we've broken the time-space continuum. Yeah, it just kept stacking deeper and deeper. I just fell out of my chair. Whoo! You know, this is what happens. I feel like I'm being incepted right now. Dude, I'm like in a deep delay. So anything that happened on the one screen happened way later on the other screen. So it was like when it went. But yeah, I thought we're going to give that thing away. The plan is to give that thing away. And the stupid thing is now your link needs to look like this. Well, that's not what the link looks like. It says that the link needs to say youtube.com/watch, but it says youtube.com/live. Maybe put your stream on mute on that browser. Oh, no. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to have to go back and watch my own stream later. You have to remember, I can't hear anything over here. I can only hear my own voice in real. I don't have a monitor, so I can't hear like my own volume level. I track my volume level by the audio mixer. That's the only thing I can see. It did not occur to me when I brought this window out that you could hear both that stream and me on this stream, which are double time offset. Oh yeah, that had to be amazing. I'm glad that I could bring that to you all. Maybe put your stream on mute on that browser. That way we only hear the original feed. Yeah, I was just trying to bring it up. Root Beer has S8E 90s or 80s. It has 80s. It's a portal. So, oh, no. Root Beer has 90s because it is a straight axle. I was thinking, I thought Blackjack. Blackjack has 80s. You sound like you were in the fourth dimension. Man! Oh, I wish I could have heard it. But I can't even hear myself now. So I go purely off of what the monitor says. Well, what do they call that thing? What's the bouncing thing that goes red, yellow, that goes green, yellow, red? Whatever that thing. I go off of that. But I don't have a speaker. It was like the record of time was skipping. I imagine that's what your wife hears when you talk about RCs. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. I overfilled the hell out of that. You don't want to get look at the meniscus height on there. You don't want to get the oil up above the top. Oh, also, if you have neglected to fire up does Rainbird run a 450? Yes. VU meter. There you go. If you have neglected to print yourself or if you've neglected to laser cut yourself a shock stand and you've given all of your shock stands away, Omni Fixo to the rescue. You just use its little clampy jaws and you just clamp your shock in it like that, and now you've got a shock stand. Sometimes the shocks fall over, so don't kick your bench when you're working on it. Sounded like many dimensions of Rick and Morty showed up. Nautical is late, still on a Hawaii time zone. That's not too far away. What are we working on today? Sir, let me tell you. We have been here some 3 hours, and in 3 hours, I haven't finished building one Chavtech shock, which is the way I like it. The less I do on a live stream, the better, because here's what happens. Someone comes to me in a comment or on the Discord or in an email or on Instagram, and they say, hey, I'm looking for this item. Could you tell me what video has that in it? And I do that thing where like the PTSD stare off into deep space where I'm like, did I do that in a live stream? Did I build that in a video and name it stupidly? Where is that? What is that? I'm not agreeing with the people that say that I have a content library that's a little too deep to be easily navigated. But you know what? There might be something to it. I'm not saying you're all right, but I'm not saying you're all wrong. 3 hours per shock is about average. A boot? Oh, too geek to be chic, just one full Canadian. Is a boot right? When I am focused, which is moments that are few and far between, I can build a full set of shocks. Like I can take these from the AMK bag to done in about 25 minutes. But I've done, what did I say? We have 15 sets? And building things like Dravtex and Big Bores are the same thing. We have, did we say 4 or 5? 4. Was it
4 in service and 2 in the back?
Okay, yeah, we have 6 sets of Dravtex, 3 sets of Big Bores, and 15 sets of Chavs, which are all basically the same thing. So the process is, okay. Those magnets are having a fun time there. Let's see if we can clip this guy in. This is a bad idea. There we go. Okay. The OmniFixo is the greatest thing ever. I've got an Amazon Dig. I've heard you speak anything about them. Anything I should know or do to get it dialed in? Yes. Try to get the arm. So you've got the arm that comes out of the dig box, this guy. Try to get it to where there's no load on it, pushing it or pulling it this way. You want your linkage from your servo to pull it as straight as possible. Like if you can get your linkage perfectly parallel to the ground, that's good. However, that means you need to mount the servo, whether you got to put spacers on it or whatever. The straighter that linkage, and you also don't want it offline. You want it perpendicular. You want it parallel to a frame rail and parallel to the ground. And then there's the dig part. Did I do this earlier? There's the dig part at the front that's on the Spur Gear and the dig part at the back. Make sure the screws on the part of the back don't extend out past the dig unit itself. If they come out even a fraction of a thread, they'll really mess up the dig engagement. And also take it apart, grease it, and throw all of the factory hardware away and replace it. Hey, 5 more. 5 more. Okay. Yeah. Also, open and clean the box. Shim to get slop out as you reassemble. Yeah. Bill, I can get the piston on the shaft in 20 minutes. This one, they have pistons now. So that would have saved a bunch of time. But if I were replacing pistons, the longest amount of time is legitimately getting those E-clips off to get the piston on and then putting them to, because you will launch at least one of them. 30 gifted memberships in one day. Miata Commuter says, finally home from work. What did I miss? Charles Hurley says, the 4th dimension. Yeah. And somehow, those two, An Assumption and HVOTO3, are going to do everything in their power to not get gifted a free membership. Like, look at all of the names that are green, and then look at these two chuckleheads over here still in gray. Is Spain too far away? Do free memberships not land in Spain? I genuinely don't understand what's happening. Make a VFD front dig, please, so I can copy you. It's funny you should mention that. This guy is my planned recipient of front burn. Because I don't care for the 46% on him, and I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe it's a portal thing. Like I only like it in portals because the portals give you, the split is still the same, but the gear reduction is greater in the portal because Bluebird can do the 60% trick, and I like it. But this guy is definitely going to be the recipient for, and also he's the double recipient because he doesn't have lights. He doesn't have any of the other stuff that the VFD twin fitted vehicles have. We're going to go and it's going to be Mr. Spain, An Assumption, and Ed Scrivener. Oh, and Too Geek to Be Chic are going to be the last. They're just going to be the 4 gray names just floating through the chat. All the gift memberships are going to turn everybody green. Okay. That one is really sparkly. This one looks like it's bubbled out already. I overfilled all these really badly. And 80, and I'm not saying that any superstition takes place, but when I build shocks, I use this 2.5 millimeter with the blue band on it, but only this one. Only this one. We set it down on the top of the gloop. This. Ooh, there is that feeling. There's that 80 weight feel. I just caught that drip. Oh, that went nice. That went nice. That's gonna be a good one. Oh yeah. Yeah, we done okay. 80 weight will get you, man. I'm telling you, you build a set of these chavs with 80, and oh, that's delightful. And then my recommendation for the chavs, if you weren't watching, we have to throw something in here which sounds almost like knowledge. I recommend skinny spacer, X-ring, skinny spacer, X-ring, and then tighten the aluminum part down. It seems to work great for keeping the piston, keeping the shaft aligned pretty well. They don't leak. They don't leak too bad. Also, if you, this one looks fine. I'm checking to see if it's pulling any oil out, but it doesn't look like it. Also, if you can, run them upside down. Run them upside down. Oh, I know Organized Chaos is big on the syringe. I would not recommend putting 1,000 CST in the syringe, because unless you're running a monster of a needle, just trying to pull that in and put it back in, it's absolutely perfect. This doesn't make any sense putting this together, but I'm going to do it anyway because we want to see how it cycles, because I don't know what vehicle this is going to go on yet. It's going to replace S8Es. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that much. One of the rigs that's here on S8Es is getting these chavs. So I don't know what the spring rates are yet. Oh yeah. Come on. You watch that, how it slows down towards the end. That, yeah. Yeah, buddy. And it looks like it's seated. We ain't even burbling. Now, 2 of these are even more full, so maybe we'll Q-tip it. Been a box of Q-tips. I thought 1,000 CST is high. I thought 500 I have is high. The thicker it is, the slower it's going to come out. Whoa. That sounded like, I'm not throwing him under the bus here at all. I laughed. And we don't want to add insult to injury, because he did order a tool cart and get a bracelet. But Mr. Mythigan yesterday messaged me on Instagram. He did catch himself, in fairness. He messaged me on Instagram yesterday and he said, "So how's your Python doing?" And I know that he was talking about the Python X that was sent in, but at the same time, that's very forward of you. It's very forward of you to ask, sir. Because even he said, I realized I could have phrased that differently, but I did get a hearty chuckle out of it. You need an elephant needle for that 80 weight. Yeah, 80 weight is up there. It's not the highest we've got, but do we need elephant needle? I just discovered these. These are what I use for grease. I don't remember if I've showed them before. I'm happy to show off my needle. If people are allowed to ask me about my Python, I'll show off my needle. You can buy 10 gauge blunts off of Amazon. 10 gauge. Unfortunately, you have to buy 10 of them. And I was hoping for one of them. There's your 10 gauge blunt. That's a big needle. You can honk some grease out of a 10 gauge. Pushing it through 18 gauge is significantly less fun. BMFRC runs 90 weight in S8Es. That'll definitely slow the leaking down. Has anyone tried the Injora big bores with the internal springs? I get asked this a lot, and I haven't, because they're still too expensive. The higher CST, the slower the shock works. Where does that slowness affect? Primarily when you're in motions like this, where you get up on your side like this, and what's going to happen is this is compressed and this is fully extended. What's going to happen if the oil is too light, that weight can transfer too quickly, and you're going to roll out of it. Over damped is when the shock gets so slow that when you're driving it, you realize the tire is not dropping down and grabbing the wheels, is not dropping down and grabbing the rocks fast enough. So over damped is generally less impactful to overall performance than under damped. Under damped, I reckon, to be less desirable, but we have a fairly big window. Like you can like, if you're running, like Mr. Spain's running 500 CST, you could put 800 CST in there and probably still be fine. And you could go down to 350 CST and probably still be fine. There is kind of a sweet spot. That is why, here's my advice to you. Again, I will recommend, do the Mias portals come with a 38? Yes. Here's there we go. Okay. Bonita Creek RC. Python? I don't get it. Miata Commuter. Oh, you sweet summer child. So good. So good. This is the stuff. This is why we're here, everybody. Here's the thing. Here's what I recommend to you. Here's what I recommend to you. All right. The 80, you basically, here's what you need. Here's what you need. If you have this, you need these. From whatever brands. 40 weight, which is 516. And how does that work? How is 40 weight 516, but 80 weight is 1,000? Shouldn't that be 1,032? Is this like hard drive space? Is CST like hard drive space? No. If you can drill your pistons and you have 40 weight and 80 weight, you can outfit any shock. I try to stick to 40 weight because 40 weight is kind of in a sweet spot. That's why, and it's also purple. I mean, purple is better. Most of the entirety of the fleet in here, there's only 3 oil weights really that are running in any vehicle here. 300 CST, 500 CST, and 1,000. We did have a couple oddballs. I think there might still be one set of shocks out there. And when I say it, yes, there are. These KYX have diff fluid in them. And they're very nice. And you know what? They don't leak. You know why they don't leak? They have like 7,000 CST oil in them, which is like 500 weight. So, yeah. Even filling these with 80, that's what? 6 times thicker than this oil? They really don't leak. So if you can drill your piston, purple is better. Oh, 15-minute whistle. Thank you. All right. So then, okay. All right. You know what? Carnage. Bring the carnage then. I'm going to finish assembling this shock. Discuss amongst yourselves. I tried. I did. I researched. I did the things. I tried. And that's all I'm going to try. Okay. There he is. If you figure out how he's going to go and where he's going to go, he goes. Otherwise, I don't know. We'll try to figure it out again. I haven't heard from Shaker MT in a little bit, so I don't know if he's still there in the chat. I tried to do Rafley's YouTube comment picker, and it didn't work. And I am definitely the sort of guy that if I'm not really interested in it, I'll try it once and then give up. Because I looked at a couple of them, and all of them were like, we only check from 200 comments, and you have to pay for a monthly subscription to give things away? You want me to pay money to give things away? So yeah, Mr. Spain, here we go again. Oh, okay. Roland has 7,000 CST in his Injora big bores, and they're damping a little bit and still leak. Wow. Bill, you're correct. 7,000 CST is not shock oil. It is indeed diff fluid. Pardon my reach. $7,000 wraps around the bottle. That is what is in Eddie's shocks over there. 7,000 CST. My nephew would like to know how to enter. The way we've done this before, how expensive is UK shipping? Dear God. He is not a small boy. If I were to put a guess, I would say it would cost $100 to ship that to the UK. And whatever duties and fees they would make you pay to allow you to get it into the country. Duties. He said duties. Dora fell off of a 50-foot cliff. Only the axles were survivable. Yeah, well, that's why I didn't build any cliffs. At least not 50-footers. Bigger holes will speed up, shock up. Smaller holes slow it down. Same with number of holes. No, that in the absolute simplest, yes. I went one step further. We are of the canyon. We are of pseudoscience. We love the science that is pseudo. So here's what we do. I get calipers and other fine measuring devices around, and I take a 2-hole Traxxas piston, and I measured the volume using the formula for volume, which I had to go on the internet to find because I haven't been to high school in 35 years. and I found out the volume of a cylinder. And then I knew that I want, because I was running on 300 CST and I wanted to run on 500 CST, I wanted to make the volume of those cylinders 66% bigger. And that's what I did. And now I drill them out to 1.4, and they damp the same way with 40 weight in them as they damped with 300 CST in them, only they're much less prone to leaking. So yes, bigger holes and more holes will act faster unless you put more fluid, if you put heavier fluid into it, thicker fluid. And then we get into a whole discussion of fluid dynamics. And I am not a scientist, nor an engineer, nor someone who even pretends to understand fluid dynamics. But what I can say is that through trial, error, and experience, these shocks with 80 weight behave pretty much the same way as they do with 2-hole pistons drilled to 1.4 millimeters filled with 40 weight. So I'm trying to take 2 different roads to arrive at the same location. I have some 20,000 CST here. What's the heaviest we got? So 80 weight is, so what do we guess? Let's just watch it move. What do we guess 15,000 weight is in CST? Because what is 50? Oh, Associated stopped putting epoxy is a good diff lube. Associated stopped putting it on the bottles, which made it a lot easier for me to do the conversions. I don't know the thickest I have. I know I have a tub. I have one that comes in a tub, which means that it's really, really heavy. They're all way over there under the live view monitor. Look at that guy. 15 thou. I don't comp, so I don't care if my shocks are perfect enough. There it is. Bigger, more holes means you can use thicker fluid then, right? Absolutely. Because these are slotted and we have no control over the size of the slots, we can't make them smaller. We can only make them bigger. And as 80 weight is kind of the top end, I think Traxxas sells 100 weight. And then above that, they pretty much just call them diff fluids and not shock oils. So I'm trying to simplify my life and just switch to either being on 40 or 80. I'm resigned to having to use the two. I would love it if everything was 40 or everything was 80. But I'm not going to take every shock in here apart and drill it so that I can run a different oil weight. So then the Traxxas sealed kit will work, but with 80 with the delivered piston. Yes. So you want at some point, won't you hydrolock the shock? If you put a weight in that is too heavy for the amount of holes or the sloppery in the piston, like the Injora that he said he's running 7,000 on and they still don't damp very well, odds are the piston is so undersized, that's too white, is so undersized to the bore that oil is mostly just slipping around the outsides of the piston, which is also going to aerate the oil, which is going to make it act like it's a lighter weight because air is, shit, what is water? Is water 0 weight or 1 weight? Is it 0? What would air be then? Like negative something? I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I don't know how fluid dynamics works. I have an Ascent, so I already have a 1/10. Silicon earplugs work great in diffs. Yeah, go fast stuff. Not in silly putty. If you're lucky and your chavs have actual good pistons, yes. If you're going to buy the pistons from if you're going to buy the 2669s with no drilling, 300 CST in the 2-hole. If you're drilling, you drill to 1.4 and you can run 40 weight, 516 CST in the 2-hole, and they will be virtually service-free. I mean, no matter how you look at it, it's getting down to now where a full set of those shocks is like $30 after you buy all the pistons and everything. Like they're actually coming down in price. Was Dora the FCX10 Blazer? No. You can pre-soak your O-rings in silicone chocolate over filling and they'll seal a little better. Yeah. What's the ladle on the bench for? Oh, that's not a ladle. This is a portion cup full of a shock oil when I had to clean out a, this is CV joint grease. And its weight is really bad, so it likes to fall over all the time. I said I was going to pick that up, so instead I left it there for like 3 hours. Oh, we'll go right here. These mats, it's a good thing, these mats. They show these mats on like gun rebuilding. There's always like a gun laying on it on the like little product image. And there's a good reason that these things are cheap, because I go through a couple of them a year. 15,000 CST. Oh, no, Brorb, that's not 15,000 CST. Oh, there we go. I got a better one for you. That's 15,000 weight, and this is 50,000 weight. Let's find it. We'll see if we can find a spot where we can stand it up. There you go. Let's watch this is a must-see TV. Let's watch that bubble move. Back to work. Nautical's going back to work. Who has decided on the giveaway? Nobody. I have no idea how to convert between CST and weight. The easiest would be is that we know 40 weight is roughly 500 CST. Okay, so that's 50,000 weight. So we take 50,000 weight and we divide that by 40, right? And then we times that by 516, I guess. So that's 645,000 CST moving in there. That's a little heavier. But 50,000 is what you would run in a center diff on like an 8th scale buggy. Well, some. Is that the AliExpress body? No, sir. This is the killer bodies. This is the full killer body. What do they call it? I don't remember what they call it. It's the killer body Defender. This thing was absolutely arduous to assemble. Full inner fenders, the whole thing. It has light buckets, but I never intended to put any lights in it or anything. Building this thing was halfway to building a full-blown hard body. And then underneath it is a VS410 chassis with an Amazon dig box flipped with the forward motor mount. It's got parts from refreshing a guitar. The electronics are halfway placeholders and halfway pretty good. It's everything except a radio, really. It's a stock Vanquish servo, but that's part of the giveaway portion of the program. These are KLR trail specs with halos. Marauder, that's it. Killer Body Marauder. I just finished painting my Comfox. I'm still on that high. Heck yeah. I've been running 2-hole with 420 CST in my Chavs. Yeah, and that's going to vary. That's really definitely going to vary from Chavtech to Chavtech, because the tolerance of the bodies is going to be all over the place. I have a couple sets built with old school associated pistons that are like full on 10 millimeter pistons in 10 millimeter bores. So there's no blow by on them at all. So I had, some of them I had to drill out to 1.5. Some are drilled to 1.6 because the bore is so tight. All the oil is literally going through those two holes. 10,000 CST is 1,000 weight. That can't be right. Is it? No, that can't be right. That'd be 800 weight. 10,000 CST would be 800 weight. It's what Google says. That's the deal. We're translating between two.
Well, it says 80 weight's 1,000 weight.
Yeah, it says 80 weight's 1,000. But what does it say 40 weight is? Because the Losi bottle over here says 40 weight is 516.
Oh, this one says 500.
Oh, okay. So 80 weight is 1,000.
This rounds, so it's not.
80 weight is 1,000 CST, which would mean 800 weight would be 10,000. Marauder, I hardly knew her. So I mean, I don't know. I guess I will have to be more duly diligent, and we'll try it again next week. We'll try it again next week. I mean, he's definitely a one-off. He's a one-off. So we'll find a place for him somehow. And sometime this month, I will be after the camera toter to finish the paint on the couvert. So we can get it really couvert. 90 weight is 1130. Gonna try some 2662 XXLs. I almost bought them. I vote wheel for giveaways. We might go to the wheel. I might make y'all write an essay. You know. I was in the roles for a substitute teacher for like a year. So I can make you all write an essay. Giveaway idea: members associated with numbers on bingo balls, or take wagers on how long a red cat will last with a 5600 kV. Well, the gears would last 12 seconds. I think Neil needs it. Neil need to move closer. It doesn't scale like that. It's like Celsius versus Fahrenheit.
Those are just rough guesstimates.
Compare and contrast essays. I'm Spanish. I can't write a proper essay. But you could say essay. BMFRC is out. He's like, I'm out. He doesn't. Okay, if there's a person in this chat right now that doesn't need this, it's the guy that already owns like 5 or 6 Phoenix-based vehicles. I'm not saying I'm ruling him out. I'm just saying that, like, read aloud to the class. Best presentation wins. All right. Sal Trippin did not do any of the required reading. That's not surprising. Patrick actually has to write stuff for school. 10,000 word essay on fluid dynamics and oil weights. Woof. You know what? I don't want to read that. So I would prefer. I know I said that I don't understand it, but that's fine. I'm willing to embrace the not understanding it. That's true. In SoCal, someone here might write an essay. Write an essay. I'm going to write an essay. I'm going to go do some crawling and I'll email you later. Oh, that's right. Brorb used to write for a living. JDA needs it and he's only one state over. We're going to, that's true. Charles does. It would qualify him as an owner of a Red Cat Ascent, but we can remember things and he already won one. So he's ineligible. Yeah, you can only win once. That's the arbitrary rule that we just decided right now. So I'm gonna find out. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna keep that link. I have that link to the live. I'm gonna find one of those comment pickers. I think the comment picker is the way to go. I think it worked the best for us. I'm just gonna find a comment picker with which that comment works, with which that link will actually perform. Because then it's out of my hands. I don't feel like I'm giving it to someone. I don't feel like I'm taking it away from someone else. We will let the randomness of the universe go at it.
And if that person wants to give it to someone else, get on.
And yeah, and if that somebody respectfully declines, that we'll do it again. I'll click the button and make it go again. So my wife just said she'll do the essay. Oh man. All right. We are indeed there. It is 3:33 here in the land of the West. We are going to something to pick someone who's been done during the last room. Yeah, exactly. Just like we did with the spider. That's how we did it with the spider. That was my intention today. Damn thing just didn't work. So we'll try that next week. and I will see you next week. I will see you in between. It's going to be quite a bit of sport content. Oh, by the way, just FYI, if you're planning on going to bed, Europeans, there's a video today. There's a video at 4 p.m. There's an upload today. It might be this, but it might not be. What if it's this? But what if it isn't? But what if it's this? There's a video in 25 minutes. Some of you will find out what it is. Some of you won't. I'm semi to well educated. I can write an essay. Everyone indeed follow Sam Stevens and have a great weekend. I thank you all so much for watching here, for joining me on the live stream. Yeah, we did a good one. You know what I did? I built a set of shocks. I took 3.5 hours to build a set of shocks. And you know what that is? That's a fantastic way to spend a Friday afternoon. I'm going to go get a coffee drink now, as is the tradition. And I will catch you all. I will catch you all in the next one. You know what we should do? You know what we should do? We're going to do it. We're going to do it. Close. Okay. Are you ready? Are you ready? For those who missed it before, you know what we should do? Okay. This is where we're going. We're going to do it. All right. We'll put it right in the middle. We're going to do it. All right. Close. But didn't mute it. We're going back to the fourth dimension, everybody. Are you ready? Thank you so much for watching. For those who missed it before, to seeing you in the next one. You know what we should do? I hope you all had a good time. Okay. I know I did. This is where we're going. I can't hear. We're going to do it. Anything. Right. Oh, there we go. Right in the middle. We just moved further into the dimension. But didn't mute it. Thank you so much, everybody. You ready? Everybody, see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. For those who missed it before, in the next one. I don't know what you're saying. You know what we should. I hope you all had a good time. I know I did. This is where we're going. I can't hear. We're going to do it. Anything. Oh, there we go. Right in the middle. We just moved further into the dimension. But didn't mute it. Thank you.